anime or manga, because manga usually there's just one linear story. For comics, I usually like to ask my audience if they know more for other connections, so I usually don't use that at all. But for him, rereading the story event, since it was threatening the multiverse because of Mandrake and his other vampires absorbing the energy and life force from the multiverse itself to destroy it eventually, I would put it somewhere around multiversal level. But then again, the DC multiverse is definitely bigger than what would be considered a multiverse. So there's more to it than that. But yeah, I would put it around multiversal level because they were threatening the multiverse, and the whole fight was Cosmic Armor Superman being the protector of the multiverse, and Mandrake being the destruction of that said multiverse.
Okay, so I use VSBW terms. So from what you describe, yeah, you and MJ are like the only people, or the only people I know in like power scaling that don't use VSBW scaling at all or terms.
Yeah, because the whole immeasurable speed stuff like that, I don't take those tier systems too seriously, because it is stuff that people have made up for these debates, obviously to make it more reasonable. But I also feel like a lot of cosmologies and the way they handle, like, scaling and cosmology as a whole, it's really confusing. Like, some characters, like in DC, you can go through time if you're faster than time itself. But then there's other universes where you cannot manipulate time through speed. The only way you can manipulate time is through either a technique or a machine. Time cannot be altered through speed at all. So how are you going to measure somebody's speed saying, well, this character was able to go through time, but that character wasn't? But that character's cosmology, time traveling cannot work through speed. So it's like there's a lot of hiccups and problems with that. So that's why I try not to use tiering systems and stuff.
Okay, wait. So so this discussion was on how strong the CAS is. How do you want to go about that? Do you want to give your thoughts on how it is, or do you want to bring up something in MJ's video that you disagree with? Or?
Before he starts that, I will say from what I've heard from him, on where he scales CAS, it sounds like he scales him around hyperversal tiers, because he said the multiverse is bigger than the average multiverse, so probably around the hyperversal tiers.
Would you agree that the DC multiverse has infinite multiverses in it?
Well, they did say that there's others, but that's recently now, but we just don't know. And we did have words like infinite gets thrown out a lot, but there is some problems with it. Like when there was the Infinite Crisis event, they said there was an infinite multiverse, but then literally when the Anti-Monitor wiped out over 1,000 universes, they stated he wiped out over 1,000 and there's 5 left. So how do you wipe out a finite amount and then have a finite amount left, which is nowhere near infinite? Yet we're supposed to believe it's infinite. They said infinite multiple times, but then later on they also mentioned and gave us a numerical value for both of them.
So that's not quite what happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths. They took a few universes before the Anti-Monitor started really deleting everything, and they shushed them outside into a safe space, and then the Anti-Monitor deleted everything else, and then the only thing that was left were the 3 or 5, I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 universes that were left.
It was 5 universes. What happened was his event was already happening at that time, and to save the last ones, they had to scramble with these devices to send them outside, like you said, to protect them. And they amalgamated into one, creating the post-crisis universe, which was only one universe at that time, until they did the New 52, separating back to a multiverse with 52 of them. But no, they did not do it before he launches his attack. They did it while he was already doing his attack, and those were the last 5 remaining universes. So to save them and prevent them from their destruction, they basically just, they use the machines to protect them outside of it. But the rest of them were getting wiped out already. And they even mentioned that he went from wiping out the far end of the multiverse to the back end, because if you go from the beginning, like Earth Prime, it's a lot harder to destroy than like Earth 1000 or whatever. So as the Big Bang happened, it created multiple other universes, but each one of them that got created was more shaky and unstable and easier to destroy. And that's why he went from the tail end to there. So there was also a mentioning of there being an end. If it's infinite, it's kind of hard to have one point of an end to start. There is no points to start at.
Okay, so the problem I see with that is it really doesn't matter when they take it out, so long as it happens before the final moments. The point here is that they took out universes away from the multiverse and shushed them to the side. So that answers the question of what you were concerned about, of how the Anti-Monitor can delete an infinite amount, but then there's finite left over. That literally just answers the question. He did delete everything else, but before it was done, they took the other universes and threw them away. So that's pretty much answered.
Yeah, the Crisis on Infinite Earths cosmology was infinite.
But he said he wiped out over 1,000 right now, and that there's only a few left. That was with the 5. That's the whole point. He didn't wipe out like an infinite instantly. He was wiping them out one by one, and then he got to the last few 5 after he wiped out over 1,000. And then these are the last few 5 that they have to save, so that's the whole point.
No. We see that the Anti-Monitors, like the wave that goes through all the other different universes, were happening all pretty much at the same time. And then he goes back and starts to do it even more. So when there were only 1,000 left at that point, like that was his second pick, like him coming back for seconds after that. So he didn't delete all of them in the first round of the waves coming through. I forgot what they called it, the Anti-Matter wave going through all the other universes. Like he came back later and then started again and did more. And then while that was happening, they took the other universes that were left and tried to safely stash them away. So like again, that's a big plot of Crisis on Infinite Earths, when we see the destructive wave going through all of the other timelines and all the other universes. So it's not that, it was happening one by one. He was certainly doing a lot of it all at once.
He did say he started from the weaker ones, the more unstable universes.
That's fine, but that's not relevant. It being weaker realms doesn't matter, and that really just proves the point that like he came back for seconds, and you can logically apply that maybe those other 1,000 were the most difficult that he saved for the second round or a later round after the first, because we don't know how many times he came back and did it. But that's the point.
Well, if you want to wipe out the whole multiverse, we know if you wipe out the Prime Earth or the Prime Universe, you can wipe out the whole multiverse instead of just wiping out all those other ones. That would have been an easy win con, so why didn't he just wipe out that one single universe? That would have been way easier.
Because the authors didn't really consider that, back then. Like, the authors aren't perfect, like, to, write all of those perfect things. And also, they're not power scalers and power debaters. They're just writing stories. Like, that. The story is the Anti-Monitor wanted to delete these universes and consume them, and he did it over a process of time. A big chunk of them was taken out all at once with the Anti-Monitor wave that went through all the other universes. Then he stopped and he came back and he did the other 1,000. And then while that was happening again, he took the others, like the heroes took the other universes and wanted to keep them safe outside of all of that. So again, all of this is answered right in the source material.
Okay, I'll probably have to reread it again, but that's not what I saw. From what I saw, he was already doing the process. He was going one by one. They stopped him, but they prevented him for a short time when Supergirl sacrificed her life. And then he had to go fix his things up because he was damaged from that event. And then he came back to try to finish the rest of the job. So that's the way I saw it. But I could be wrong, so I will just have to reread it again because I haven't read it since a few years ago when I first was talking about it. So yeah, I'll probably do it again. I'll probably make even a video on it. As a whole, to correct anything I got incorrect there. But the new multiverse with the 52, they haven't specifically stated. Yes, they stated there are other multiverses. We just don't know exactly of how many there are. I still do think it is a little bit open-ended. If you want to consider it infinite, you can. There's nothing that discredits that, but there's nothing for me at least that confirms that it would be infinite. But there also is nothing that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be infinite. So I just don't know. I do acknowledge that there are other ones. Right now, they've only really mentioned the regular multiverse right now, the 52, and then the Dark 52 multiverse. And there's possibly other ones. Same thing in Marvel. They did the same thing, but...
Yeah, sure, that's fine. But we have interviews from the authors in the guidebooks telling us that there's infinite multiverses. What's up?
Wait, MJ, before you go into that, I just want to add to Dragon Ball. Did you read Flash Big Bang, like newer comics?
No, I haven't. Like I said, most of these stuff, if I had read it, I would say it, but a lot of these story events I haven't. I'm trying to do a series where I go through all these major story events and then I go through it and talk about it. I did for the Perpetua story event, which some people are also saying. I know you made a video talking about how Perpetua is a fake god and that Darkseid actually, when you said Darkseid created that story from this fictional thing, some people were saying that that's not true. That she is a part of that, and he just created a universe. Yeah, so I don't know about that. I did make a video on that. I mentioned that how Comic Curator said that Perpetua was fake, and I said, well, Perpetua is fake because this other YouTuber said it, and he had a pretty reasonable argument. But some people are saying that that isn't true. They're saying that's actually not the case. They're saying that he got it wrong, and that Darkseid was just retelling the story or something like that, and he just created the new universe right now. I forgot what it's called right now, but yeah, somebody was disagreeing with that. I don't know about that though.
Sure, we can get into that after we talk about all the other stuff though.
Yeah, after we talk about all of this, we could get into that because that's something that's actually coming up pretty soon, but we will tell you after. One thing I wanted to say though was in Flash Big Bang, recently, this is a recent comic book, when Flash lifted the cosmic limitations of the multiverse, he like rediscovered infinite worlds, and they said it's actually infinite. MJ, do you have the scan for that?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, you could just send that in the thing. So, but the worlds he rediscovered, it was the Crisis on Infinite Earths multiverse, and we see this because Flash, like, he documents all of this.
So yeah, we'll get into that afterwards. That's a whole separate topic. Let's ignore that right now, and let's just stick with the multiverses.
Yeah.
For Final Crisis and Multiversity era stuff, because that revolves around the cosmic armor stuff. We'll get into that other stuff later. But
Final Crisis did, well, at that time at least, they only had the 52 universes at that point. So even if there is infinite, this only happens after that event. So it wouldn't really.
Yeah, this was after the Perpetua or Dark Crisis, right? This was after Dark Crisis, right?
So the Flash Big Bang happens after Dark Crisis. It's after Dark Crisis 7.
Yeah, so
again, this has nothing to do with the multiversity stuff. So we'll get into that later. Let's ignore that right now. And let's just acknowledge right now first that I'm showing in the chat that the authors themselves during the Final Crisis and Multiversity era are confirming that there are infinite other multiverses, not just the Local 52. The Local 52 is just the Local 52. There are infinite other ones outside of that are not mapped. And the monitors themselves in the guidebook explain that. So there are, in fact, infinite multiverses inside of the flaw during Final Crisis. So that's 100% fact. It's not even debatable.
Yeah. To add to your point, MJ, the scan I just sent too, this was when, like, if you read it, it's saying that the monitors were the only ones that kept recordings of all these continuities that were rising and falling. Like, they're the only ones who know this.
Right. I'm going to get into that later. That's part of my discussion for a future debate coming in a few days with somebody else, but I don't want to get into, like, that's not really relevant to what's going on right now. We can get into that later, but for right now, the topic was infinite multiverses or not in DC. The Crisis on Infinite Earths multiverse is just one creation and one multiverse in DC Comics. It's not just that. The Local 52 is a very small multiverse in DC Comics with infinite others around it that aren't mapped. And the context of Bleed Space itself goes so far past just DC Comics that it's almost laughable to not consider it infinite, because the context of what Grant gave us for this map and what Bleed Space contains during the Final Crisis era goes so far out of just DC Comics' infinite megaverse, it includes Marvel and all other properties as well. So if we're just talking about DC, during the Final Crisis and Multiversity era, they confirm it in the source material, and then it's backed up by the authors again in the guidebook that there are infinite multiverses beyond just the Local 52. So
but that's
completely debunked.
But aren't those multiverses outside of the source wall, not within the Bleed itself? Because the whole point
of the outside of the source wall. No, the Overvoid in Final Crisis, the context of the Overvoid in Final Crisis is literally exterior fictional space. Nothing gets out of fictional space. Bleed Space doesn't just contain fiction in the context of what Grant was explaining in this series. Other authors ignored that, so we're not talking about them. We're talking about Grant's version in Final Crisis and the Multiversity. There is nothing outside of the source wall, the prime source wall on the map. The only thing out there is the Overvoid. It's even listed on the left side of the map. There's nothing else out there. So there aren't any other, there's no other creations, there's no other anythings, there's no other entities, there's no hands, there's no perpetua, there's no energy, there's no concepts. There's nothing. It's literally the Overvoid, which is beyond even the concept of nothingness. It doesn't even apply to what the Overvoid is, which is something we learned. Hang on. It's something we learned in the Vertigo Lucifer series, where Lucifer wanted to delete his concept from existing, not just himself and the energies he's made of, but the very idea of the devil. He wanted to eject it from existence. So he had to send it to Parabrahman, which is the equivalent of the Overvoid in the DC cosmology. And it deleted both the idea of Lucifer and God, the presence, his father. They were both removed from existence. There is no existing in non-existence. There's nothing that exists in the Overvoid, which is non-existence. It's even like classifying it as non-existence is still an idea. Like Grant goes to explicit detail how these terms don't really apply, but they're just as far as we can go and explain them with our language. So there is nothing else in the Overvoid, and there was never anything said during this period to exist in the Overvoid. Grant repeatedly and goes into extreme lengths in both his book and interviews and the guidebook that there is nothing else out there in the Overvoid, because nothing can be in the Overvoid except Nil, which was a specific thing that the Overvoid wanted to oversee everything else, and there's nothing else there.
Yeah, to add to your point, MJ, this also answers your question too. Dragon. Should I just call you Dragon Ball? I don't know what.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't really care.
To answer your question too, you said that the source wall, like, isn't it around like the multiverse? This was after Final Crisis, because after Final Crisis, I don't know if you read the entirety of it. I know you read Superman Beyond, but if you read the entirety of Final Crisis,
I read the entirety,
not just Superman. Okay, so at the end of it, we know that Nick Swotan woke up from the dream, but he woke up and he kind of like what was it? He kind of built the current structure of the DC multiverse.
Yeah,
which goes into everything else.
Jump in there for 1 second because it was a little bit off there. So after Final Crisis ends, and the series ends with Nick Swotan remaking the entire multiverse after it was destroyed, and he uses old cosmology maps from Jack Kirby, which are literally, if you look at the pictures, they're literally the same map that Jack Kirby drew in the original New Gods series in the 70s. And he's using those to inspire his new cosmology. The fourth world ends, and Final Crisis begins, well, it ends with the beginning of the fifth world. And in the fifth world, Nick Swotan is dreaming and sustaining all of existence through his dream state. So the map you see in Multiversity and everything else going on in it is literally just a dream state of Nick Swotan. He's actually like Azathoth from Lovecraft, doing the same thing that Azathoth did, dreaming everything into existence. So the source wall and the revision of the cosmology that he did at the end of Final Crisis is visualized in this map in the Multiversity. It's a little bit different from the Final Crisis ending. It changed over that 6-year period from 2008 to 2014 because you can see at the end of Final Crisis that New Genesis and Apocalypse were merged into one like heaven location. And then Final Crisis ends, and then years later, Multiversity comes out. You get the map, and now the New Gods, Apocalypse and New Genesis, are split again. They're two different locations again. So the cosmology was shifted a little bit, but the context of literally everything in the Multiversity and onward is that Nick Swotan is sustaining it through his dream state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking right here at the ending. I do see him waking up from the dream. I knew that, but what it shows, it doesn't show any merging of maybe it might be a different comic, but the end of Final Crisis, it doesn't show the merging of New Genesis or Apocalypse, but it does show Batman in the cave to showcase that he was still alive even though he was hit by the Omega Beams. So it was just to do a cliffhanger for that, but I don't see the other thing. Maybe that was in a different comic, there, because I don't see the end of Final Crisis at least.
So it's right here, like I showed you in the scan in the chat. Apocalypse is reborn as New Genesis, so they were merged together in Final Crisis. And then after that, there's a 6-year gap until the Multiversity, and then we get the map, and we see that there's been a little bit of a change in Nyx's design of everything, and now Apocalypse and New Genesis are back to being split.
Okay, so I'm guessing this is from a different comic than Final Crisis, because
Final Crisis is a little Final bit... Crisis. That's
okay.
That's 100% from Final Crisis. That is not from another comic.
I'm literally seeing right here. I'm gonna go to the ending completely. Yeah, I just gets off there.
No, dude, that's the end of Superman Beyond.
No, this one just says Final Crisis 1 out of 7.
That's Final Crisis 7. That's the ending of Final Crisis 7. So it's not from another comic. This is 100% from Final Crisis.
I will. Okay, whatever. I'll try to see if I can find it then later when I'm looking for it. But yeah, from the other ones I don't see it. But there were other Final Crisis. Yeah, I could just look it up later. But for right now, okay. But the whole thing about me and him got into a little bit of argument about the whole how did the end of the Infinite Pages book, it said that evil won, and how did he actually lose? Because the argument was, well, the what's the thing called? Cosmic Armor Superman was the one who changed it because he can change narratives and stories, and that's why he lost. But the reason why Mandrak actually lost was because Superman used the Miracle Machine, which brings thought into reality. And in the end, when the girl that was talking to the modern Nux, whatever his name is, when she was talking to him, he said, what was Superman's wish throughout the Miracle Machine? And he's like, he just wished for, everything to end off good. Or I can find the actual quote he said exactly.
Yeah, so
because he just
wait, hold on, can I explain?
Fought Mandrak way before the Miracle Machine was activated and used. So Final Crisis doesn't happen at the end. I mean, Superman Beyond doesn't happen at the end of Final Crisis. It happens actually in
it happens in the middle, but what happens is he survives and then he comes back in the complete end of the
Mandrak. That is Mandrak's brother named Rox.
Yeah, Dragon Ball. This is something I wanted to explain to you too. Cosmic Armor Superman does defeat Mandrak. Mandrak was corrupted by stories, and Cosmic Armored Superman basically used that to his advantage when he accidentally killed his wife.
So yeah, I posted a picture here. This is Rox Ogama. Mandrak's name is Dax Novu. They're brothers. So at the end of Final Crisis, when Nyx Wotan was talking and he was asking about what the Miracle Machine wish was, and he gets destroyed by all the Green Lanterns and the Pax Day Angels, and all the other Superman are fighting him. That's Rox Ogama. That's not Dax Novu. That's a completely different monitor. This monitor was banished from Nil right after the Cosmic Armor defeated Mandrak. Rox Ogama's the guy who destroyed Universe 51. He was the bad guy who set up everything and caused everything. So after Mandrak fights Cosmic Armor, he gets kicked out of Nil, and then he waits as Darkseid takes over the entire multiverse for there to be nothing left in universes, and Superman's lost and his hope is at 0%, and that's when Rox Ogama reappears. They call him Mandrak because Mandrak is a title and not a name.
Okay, but still, the end of that win, which was pure evil, which he was still carrying out the reigns of the evil, it was saved because of the wish in the end anyway. So because he was still carrying out the reigns, the whole thing about the story was evil wins. And he was still a part of the evil, even if he wasn't Mandrak himself. He was still carrying out his mission of the ultimate evil, and it was prevented.
Yeah, we agree with that, but the point is, if you go back and read Superman Beyond, they kicked him out of Nil and stripped him of his monitor status. They dropped him in the realm of the Anti-Monitor, where Ultraman is from, and imprisoned him in the flaw that he hated so much. They didn't just kick out one of the most powerful entities in all of DC and left him with all of his powers down there, knowing that he would click his fingers and delete everything. So he didn't have his powers in the slightest when that entire thing happened. And when the Miracle Machine was activated, it was certainly more powerful than Rox Ogama was at the time. So that's what explains all of that. And that is not my opinion. That's in the comic books. The source material itself shows us that Roxogama was cast out of Nil and his power and status were stripped. They even say his status was removed and revoked. And
yeah, I know that, but he was still affected by Mandrake. That's why he turned to the vampire, and he also absorbed Radiant and the Spectre's power to regain some power of his. So he did take 2 heavy hitters' energy to regain some power. So he wasn't completely drained at this point.
No, I agree with that. But though their powers, they're not even close to the level of a regular monitor, let alone Mandrak or CAS. So like the Spectre and the Radiant aren't even close. He could absorb anybody he wants in the entire multiverse, and it wouldn't be enough to even come to a regular monitor status, let alone Mandrak and Cosmic Armor. So that's not relevant to the discussion at all.
But
yeah, if
still,
Cass lost, Mandrak would have just eaten Story. He would have destroyed everything. That's what the Infinite Book was showing. But it can also be interpreted that it was Roxogama at the end, not Mandrak, but it still really wouldn't matter. Kaz won.
Yeah, you got to say Dax because Mandrak is just a title and people confuse it.
Dax Novu is the true Mandrak. Roxogama is his brother, so...
Okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense, but still, that the whole thing about beating evil, the evil wasn't specifically just Mandrak, it was Mandrak and his other vampires and just the plan itself for evil to win an ending. So the reason why, even though Ultraman read the story and it said evil wins an ending, and the reason why evil still lost was not because Mandrak, or not because Cosmic Arm Superman stopped it, is because regular Superman stopped it using the Miracle Machine to prevent the final measure to doing that. But
yeah, but again, that has nothing to do with Dax Nova.
He did stop him. I never said he didn't beat Mandrak. I'm just saying that he somehow was able to survive or come back, or at least in this regard, just bring his plan back by, using him. So, yeah, he did beat Mandrak, but he didn't stop the event from happening fully. They still had to finish it off themselves.
Yeah, well, isn't there an author interview?
I'm sorry, Will, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't there an author interview of Grant literally saying Mandrak is like the ultimate evil?
I just posted
like
it.
Nothing.
You
just posted it, yeah.
Right now. I already posted it. So
yeah, he is the ultimate evil. Makes sense.
But yeah, see, you see what I'm saying? Like, he defeated the ultimate evil, and before all that happened, like the monitors who were bad, which was Roxogama, and God knows if any of the other ones were as well. Like, they tell you that he consumed a portion of Dax Novu's essence. So no, he didn't fully defeat everything, but I don't understand how that's relevant. He did defeat Dax Novu. So what does that have to do with Roxogama? I don't understand.
The way he beat him was not through completely destroying him. He threw him into the Overvoid, which destroyed him there. That's what killed him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's exactly what happened. Agreed. Like, it was the Overvoid that deleted the very concept and idea of Mandrak. And yeah, so, like, I believe it or not, I'm not on the side that Cosmic Armor is stronger than Mandrak. I've firmly stood for, the last 11 years that Mandrak is stronger than the Cosmic Armor, but he's the only thing stronger than the Cosmic Armor, unless you're talking about the Overvoid itself. So again, it has nothing to do with Roxogama. At the ending of Final Crisis, like, we're showing you that, like, just because another monitor was doing bad stuff after Mandrak was removed. Again, if you read the ending of Superman Beyond, Superman in the Cosmic Armor writes on the tombstone of all story that stories are going to continue no matter what. So evil was allowed to continue because he knows evil has to exist for good to exist as well. All the stories are going to continue without any bias, without anybody in control. That's what Superman wanted to do. So the only reason that Roxogama and Darkseid were allowed to continue after that moment was because the Cosmic Armor said so. Because he literally said so and said, I'm blessing all of existence with this blessing that you're allowed to exist with no bias and without any monitors looking at you. No Cosmic Armor oversight, no Mandrak. You exist as you are, and you're free to either be evil or good, and good will always prevail over evil. That's the whole point of writing on the tombstone to be continued. So this post, like this picture right here, when he's kneeling down in Nil on the tombstone, this tombstone is the grave of all story. And it's stated in the source material that this tombstone that the cosmic armor is etching on it is his own tombstone. It's the tombstone
Mandrak
of
says
the
it too.
cosmic armor. And he inscribes on the tombstone of story itself to be continued so that it's unbiased. And that after that moment, everything else will be allowed to exist unbiasedly. It'll be evil, it'll be good. Stories will continue normally. We'll still get our crisis events. We'll still get our heroes. The heroes are still going to win anyway. And that's why Roxogama was allowed to be evil and why Darkseid was allowed to be evil. Because the cosmic armor said so.
I don't think it's because the cosmic armor said so. I think it's just because that's how the cosmology works, and that's just how, the fundamental laws of nature work. So those fundamental laws were going to happen no matter what, and he knows that. He realizes that you can't stop it or prevent it. This is how the stories were meant to be. So that's why he's saying it's going to be continued. I don't think he didn't say directly at all that he allowed it. It's more likely that this is just how the fundamental laws are. And
no, he did say that. He said, let them be. He literally kneels down and says, let them be as they are. So existence
that doesn't mean that he's allowing it. He's just saying that just let them do the thing because it's going to happen no matter what.
We can't introduce headcanon. We can't do that. That's not something I want to discuss on headcanon. We're going with the source material and what the authors and other authors have said the cosmic armor is. This is story visualized. That's what the cosmic armor is. So the story itself is being driven by Superman and literally writes on the tombstone of story to be continued and to let them be. So it's not that the natural laws are just going to be like that. I agree with you that Superman knows that, but this is the ending of all the stories right there. And they only exist after that moment because the cosmic armor let them. It was up to Superman in the cosmic armor to allow them to continue or not. And that's right from the source material.
Where did he say that he had let them to do that? That he had the power to control that or stop it, and then he let them to do that? Because he just said let them be. Where does that equate to that? I can go back and try to find it right here to read it specifically. I'm pretty sure.
So Mandrak, I mean, he's kneeling in front of the tomb, and it says, Mandrak asked what words I'd have inscribed on my tombstone, and he says, only these, let them be. And it's a reference to letting all the creations and all the other stories in the flaw continue, to let the germs of the flaw continue and let them be on their own with no oversight. Because that's what the monitors were doing. They were the oversight for the entire flaw. And Superman didn't want that to happen anymore. So there is no more oversight. There's no more of anything overseeing the entire flaw as a whole.
Didn't what's the other guy? The other monitor that got sent down, he was talking to the council. He told them to not interfere. It wasn't Cosmic Armor Superman. He was the one who said that you should not interfere with them and let them be. So I'm pretty sure it was him. That
was Nix Wotan telling them later that you shouldn't interact with anything, and you should probably just go kill yourselves, which is what they did. They're like, oh my god, we've done bad things. We're literally going to kill ourselves. And they leave Nix Wotan as the super judge, as the last of the monitors. So they agreed. Yeah. They agreed with this. And we're like, we're just going to off ourselves, and we're going to remove ourselves from existence.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be Nix Wotan who did that, not Cosmic Armor Superman, because he was the one who told them?
The Cosmic Armor did that before Nix was talking to the council. The council just agreed with what Superman and the Cosmic Armor were saying originally. Like, they agreed with what Superman was saying. Nix didn't do anything. Nix did not cause all the other things to happen, unless we're talking about the context of the dream state. But the dream state only exists because the Cosmic Armor said so.
Okay.
Also, another question I have for you, Dragon Ball. What I think the confusion on your side is coming from, like, what the Cosmic Armor is. Do you know, like, what it's supposed to be? Like, do you think it's the container for Superman, or do you think it's Superman's story? Like, what do you think the Cosmic Armor is?
Well, they explained it was a probe sent into the multiverse to understand it and gather the information. And then
that's Dax Nobu.
No, that was Dax Nobu.
Was the probe that the Overvoid sent.
But he also sent a probe. The monitor itself sent a probe in there, and then he put metal around it. I can try to find it. It really says it.
The flaw itself was what the Overvoid put the divine metal around that has nothing to do, like the cosmic armor.
Yeah, the divine metal in the shape of
they tell
Superman.
you that the probe's no, they tell you that the probe's name is Dax Novu, like 100%.
Yeah, they tell you that.
I'll try to see it.
Unfortunately I don't have that scan where Dax Novu's like overseeing stories and he was like, oh, what is this? I do.
Yeah,
not
I'll
have
get
that
it
scan.
if you give me a second. It's just one thing that I don't have on hand right here. Just give me 1 second, I'll get it for you.
And I can I have the other scans though, like explaining what the cosmic armor is and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the probe is not the cosmic armor Superman. The the cosmic armor comes after the probe comes back. And I'll show you that in the source material, that literally none of this is my opinion. So this is all from the source material.
Modern extends probe designed to blend into the
So the probe is split into two, and the multiversity also tells us that the probe was Mandrak, was Dax Novu. So Mandrak splits his personality from Dax Novu into Mandrak. So that's the split that happens. The cosmic armor is just a result of personifying the entire flaw. That's how the Overvoid now sees. And you can see on the bottom of this panel that it tells you that it's the cosmic armor that was infecting the Overvoid and continues to infect the Overvoid. The probe didn't infect the Overvoid. The infection already happened. Then the Overvoid sends the probe in to investigate more. And then the infection is personified as a literal suit of armor. So he's personifying its own infection to understand it, because Overvoid's stupid and doesn't understand anything. It's naive. So when it sees other things, considering the multiverse as a working multiverse machine. Yeah, I was getting to that, Eve. I was going to post that in a second. But the Overvoid personifies the story machine of the flaw as a literal story machine. So, and this was explained in the guidebook. Let me find those scans for you. Hold on.
Oh, Eve also sent a scan in too.
Yeah, Eve was too fast on that.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about when he said he was getting to.
Also, you know what's funny? This is off topic, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, CAS can't exist in the Overvoid," and like the first thing we see is him standing in it.
I mean, he was literally created there.
Yeah, literally. And people are like, "Oh, CAS, he's not Overvoid's here, like Lucifer. Like Lucifer flew into the Overvoid." I was like,
I don't want to get into that.
He's literally standing on it.
It gives me heart palpitations. I don't want to talk about that right now.
Because all the monitors came from the Overvoid, because the Overvoid was considered just monitor. It was like the original monitor, and then they were created because it inspected the it inspected the universe that was growing, and then it started getting affected by that.
Right.
And, and that's also where it created the bleed to cover it up.
Right. Let me get into this real quick. In the guidebook, it tells you and explains more than once, I believe it's 2 or 3 times, that most of the residents who are superpowered, like the nil monitors and other people, consider the flaw, all of existence, a story machine. So it's like the story machine is working and doing all these things and constantly spitting out new universes, blah, blah, blah. So that's what the flaw is that infected the Overvoid. Like the flaw is everything not the Overvoid. So like the flaw is literally everything, everybody, every character, every concept, all the stuff, all the is, which is what Grant said this was, is what the cosmic armor is supposed to be embodied as. So the Overvoid looks at the story machine of the flaw and embodies it as a literal story machine. So that's what the cosmic armor is. It's just the embodiment of everything not the Overvoid. So it's all of story. It's literally everything, every universe, every multiverse that can, is, was, everything. And it's even explained on the slipcover of the original comic book. So none of this is our opinion. and we're just copy and pasting the source.
Okay, and then
all of existence is the armor, and everything not the Overvoid is embodied as the armor. But the serious thing about this is how the authors explained that in this era, during this flaw, this tube thing that the Overvoid is infected by, is not just during that one era. It's not that the Overvoid is looking at a specific moment in time. It's looking at existence and the entire story of existence. And the authors and the editors and even DC marketing have told us that the flaw represents in Final Crisis and Multiversity every single story and every data point that ever was, is right now, and that will ever be written for DC. So it's literally everything that will ever be written. Every character, every villain, every god, every anything that will ever be written in the entire history and future of DC Comics. That's what that tube is. And that tube is embodied as the Cosmic Armor Superman.
Okay.
So in this scan that I'm showing right here, this
Okay,
is
so
marketing and editors themselves saying that the multiversity flaw, just that era, just that area, is inclusive of every story that will ever be written. It's about the entire future of the DCU and not just one specific era, but everything, which is also, again, what Grant said too.
Yeah. The Multiversity, I did check it out a little bit. It was actually pretty interesting. It did cover all the information. I'll also probably be doing a video on that in the future, covering stuff there because there's a lot of good information. I do know a decent amount about Marvel and DC's cosmology, but I don't know fully in depth, and that's why I make these video series like I did for what's his name, the Beyonder. So it was helping me understand the Marvel cosmology more, but there were stuff that are outside of that character that I needed. So sometimes when I cover these specific characters, there are additional things outside of these characters that tie in, that have more connection, and you have to understand more of the cosmology. So when I first did these, I think the problem I did do was the fact that especially when I learned for the Beyonder, is since he's such a big and powerful character, he's very integral to the cosmology. So I would have to understand more of the cosmology as a whole than him. So I think for the Cosmic Armor Superman, I will be making a video on it, but I'll be trying to do more research and understand the cosmology as a whole, and then I'll probably do a re-video on Cosmic Armor Superman, because from the stories I got, it was from Final Crisis, but it was only the whole story event of Final Crisis and maybe a little bit before it, but everything else around it, I didn't research, and the knowledge that I had was just some previous knowledge that I know here and there, bits and parts, pieces.
Well, you're in the right place then. But before I stop here, because I want to give Will a chance to talk to you as well. I'm going to stop after this. There's just two more things that I want to show you here. That tube from Final Crisis and the Multiversity is not just DC Comics. Marvel is in there as well as every other fiction. And this isn't my opinion. This is just me saying, listen to the source material. It's posted in the guidebook as well. And to also just listen to the author explain it.
Okay, I'll check that out, but I just feel like it's weird to have like all these other cosmologies in their story when obviously they can't really, affect these other IPs when we're talking about more like to manipulate the IPs within there. But yeah, maybe I should just check that out a little.
Well, that's the whole point of what Grant was trying to do. He was trying to more profound, more meta thing that includes every single story, and it's in these video interviews that I'm giving you, where Grant explains that it's not just about DC, it's about Marvel and every story ever told that could ever be told. That's what that tube structure is supposed to be. So it's exterior Marvel, it's exterior DC Comics. Like Bleed Space in Grant's version of this is not just DC Comics. It contains all the other franchises. Like, for example,
but these events would only affect DC multiverse, right? Not the other ones.
No, Bleed Space contains literally everything.
I know I'm saying, but this event that was threatening the multiverse was only going to threaten the DC multiverse, not the other multiverses.
No,
the other
that's
multiverses
not true because they tell you that Bleed was almost breaking down during those events as well, and Darkseid was having trouble with the breakdown of Bleed Space in Final Crisis. So that there's a whole thing there where Grant explains that it's not, when he says the multiverse, it's not just the DC multiverse. All the other properties were shown to be breaking as well through the showing of Marvel Earth 8, again in the videos and the statement I just showed you. Grant wants this to be inclusive of everything, not just DC. So like Earth 8 on the map is not a DC Comics Earth, that's Marvel Comics. Earth 41 is not a DC property, that's Spawn, that's Image Comics. That's from the author telling us this. And again, he gets really upset at other authors who came later, and he's yelling at them for not getting the context of anything right on his multiversity. So here's another interview from Grant's blog where he talks about how the other authors were getting the context of the multiversity wrong, and that he hates when they do that because the context was that the other universes were supposed to be other properties and other fictional things that include Marvel, like Earth 8. He says right here, like he confirms it 3 or 4 times in videos and the guidebook and also these interviews, that Marvel Earth 8 is not connected to DC Comics. It's a completely different multiverse in Bleed Space. So that tube includes every single property of every story of every franchise that will ever be told from now, that ever was or ever will be, was all embodied as this giant suit of armor that was fighting Mandrak. That's the context of what the cosmic armor is. So with that, I'm going to shut up because I talked for too long and I talked over Will, and I'm so sorry. I get too passionate about it. Will, you're on call now. I'm not going to say a word.
No, you're good. So one thing I wanted to say to add on to MJ's point, when he talks about the flaw in like all of existence or whatever, I do believe in the source material. I do believe in the context of what Grant is saying to us, that CAS embodies everything, like story, everything. Like, you know how he explained how the tube is basically all of existence. I agree with that. Whenever I go into other debates though, I know other people aren't going to agree with that, so I limit it purposely. MJ, you're probably gonna get mad at me. You're probably gonna
I already am, sir. I already am.
Because I've also explained this to MJ. Like, I purposely limit where I place CAS on VSBW because not a lot of people are gonna agree with it. So I kind of water it down to like, okay, well, CAS represents all the story of DC. He's like the overarching narrative. He's the overarching continuity for DC. But if we look into the context of what Grant said about the flaw and the tube and existence itself, it does, or it's supposed to include literal all of existence. Like, he talked about hyper time and like this is something Dripsaw said in his video. He believes CAS is 4D because Superman traveled beyond bleed space, but 4D in that context is literally the dimension above ours. Like, we're in 3D space. What Superman or what Grant was showing us when they went into or beyond limbo, or actually no, I think I got that wrong. What Grant showed us when Superman ejected to limbo, he was literally at the edge of like fictional space. Like, in that context, that's what that is. That's what the limbo realm is.
Right.
I just wanted to add on to that.
He gives his 4D understanding of all this, what 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D means in the guidebook as well, which I just posted a picture of.
Yeah,
which is part of the map. So like 4D is not spatial dimension geometry. 4D means the container that contains literally every single narrative and meta narrative that will ever exist ever.
Yeah, so limbo in that context, like, this is why I disagreed with Drip Sauce. This is why I don't really want to interact with him anymore or talk to him. Is because one, he's toxic. Two, he's purposely getting this information wrong, and that kind of pisses me off. So I never want to get into contact with that dude. He can stay like 10 feet away from me, 100 feet away from me, across the world. I really don't care about that. But in context of 4D, it's not literally 4D. Like, oh, this character is only 4th dimensional. Like, that's not what that's supposed to mean.
Okay,
so
the only problem
I wanted to add on to it.
The only problem I have with the other stories being contained within that is, yeah, I get the whole point is like it's supposed to be, metaphorical or metaphysical thing, whatever, or a conceptual thing. But the problem is he doesn't have the rights of any of these other IPs. So even if he's saying it's supposed to be the literal version of Marvel, he's not gonna have the actual literal version of Marvel because the Universe 8. They were trying to resemble Marvel as much as possible, but they can't take it because they all have their own IP. So yeah, I get it. I get it in the context. This is where when writers do these little bit abstract things, gets a little wild because I get in the context of DC, they all exist in there, but whatever event happened here, even if Mandrak did win, it would have not affected any of those other IPs because that's more of a legal thing. Like those other IPs don't really acknowledge this. Into there, so that's where cosmology gets a little bit weird when we get to arguments about it. But so, yeah.
But before MJ talks here, because I know MJ is about to talk, I will say this is why I personally water it down to like DC. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because
that's
DC
why
can say
I do it like that.
Yeah, because DC can say that these universes are all in here, but the authors of those said universes could be like, no, they're not. That is their thought. So it's like they can get too close as like replicating it, saying this is exact that universe, but the person that owns the IP, there's gonna be a whole legal dispute saying, no, we are not within your story. We are our own story. Whatever events happen and transpire, even infecting this thing or destroying it will have no effect on ours. So even if like Mandrak did destroy it, it would not destroy, other universes outside of it. But in the DC cosmology, it would. But outside of it, it depends on those IPs if they accept that thought.
So the only counter argument I would have to that would be that so we know CAS is the conceptual embodiment of story itself, right? So if you're the concept of story, and if you put CAS against other characters, CAS would just by default immediately be over that character. You know what I mean? That's my argument for that. But I do purposely, I know MJ is fuming at me right now. Sorry, MJ. I purposely water it down to DC, but when you talk about like outerversal characters who can affect concepts, this and that, I'll be like, well, okay, this character may like affect concepts, but like if CAS is the embodiment of existence, if you were to put them together, CAS would immediately know everything about them. He's already pre-adapted to that. You know what I mean? Because that's what the context of Cosmic Armor Superman is.
Yeah, but
that's how I would argue it. MJ, you could go on. I'm sorry.
The only problem I have with that is when we see the dialogue from him, it's more Superman's dialogue and his consciousness trying to understand the world because he was reading the story and he even mentions it. So it is a little weird in that context. And then also, they were stated that he was meant to adapt and evolve, but he still did pretty much get beaten by Mandrak. And I don't know why they didn't make him have the ability to fix himself, and he was such in a damaged state because, like, if you have that much power, you could have been able to do whatever and fix yourself. I don't know why he was in that or shape at least.
Yeah. So the thing about that is, they're in a realm beyond form and meaning. In the comic book, obviously we're gonna see it as pictures, right? This is more of a conceptual thing. It's not really. Superman physically got punched by Mandrak and he started bleeding. It's more conceptual. It's showing us that this is story versus everything that isn't story, because that's what Mandrak represents, which is why Mandrak is more powerful than the Cosmic Armor, because he's like the opposite of story. So when Superman or when Cosmic Armor Superman takes damage, that's basically showing you that story is being degraded into nothingness.
Marvel did also the same thing. They did this one where they're going through the cycles of the universe, and they had these two beings. They were the first like heroic beings, and one was the concept of like stories, and the other one was the concept of non-stories, and the non-stories. So the Marvel also had interpretation of this also. So even though
would you agree though that Mandrak and CAS is more conceptual rather than physical, because they're not really physical beings, they're in a realm that's beyond form and meaning.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's the point I wanted to address. Also, never mind, that was it.
yeah, the only problem I have with that is I do agree with that, but the only problem I have is that though it is a story and that's conceptual, but when there were the threat of the multiverse, that itself was not conceptual, just literal. That was like regular, like it was gonna wipe out the universes and threaten it, like any other story event. So that part I think is a little weird. No, because still Darkseid was doing his own thing, but Mandrak was also sucking out the life energy from the multiverse, which would have destroyed it, and he was there to protect the multiverse from being destroyed. So that is not a conceptual thing because it's within the realm itself. It's not outside of the context of that realm. So it still had effects within it that were not, through a conceptual lens. That was actually a physical like threat that was coming from it.
The cosmic armor was completely outside of the realm of any physical or conceptual realm. So again, that's what Will was telling you. Nil and the Overvoid are completely outside of all of that. There is no conceptual anything on Nil. The only reason Mandrak won this and was able to win is because he's part of the Overvoid. The probe that the Overvoid sent in was its own split-off piece. Mandrak is the part of the Overvoid that felt corrupted, all in the source material. So you're the part of the monitor that felt contaminated by the universe. The word monitor was used 13 times in Superman Beyond to reference Monitor Mind, not Dax Novu. Dax Novu was never called Monitor. Only the Overvoid was called Monitor in this. So you're the part of the monitor that was contaminated by the multiverse. The only reason Mandrak was able to even come anywhere near a cosmic armor on this was because he's part of the Overvoid. And the intent of the Overvoid wanted to get rid of the infection. So it was part of Mandrak's job function originally as Dax Novu to get rid of it, and to investigate it and delete it. But instead of deleting it, he went to feed off of it because he liked the way Bleed Space tasted. So I have reference here from Grant explaining what Mandrak is and what his original job function was. So if Cosmic Armor is all of story, and Mandrak is all of the nothingness that consumes the story, that's degrading the story when they fight. So every time Superman and Cosmic Armor bring up something, Mandrak deletes it. You're watching the degradation and damage of story take place. So he didn't sustain anything physical. There's no bleeding. His face isn't actually missing. He's not even actually there. This is just how the Overvoid personifies everything on Nil happening in the Overvoid. So that's why Cosmic Armor was bleeding. You're watching story bleed out. It's a very common and thing that authors talk about all the time. You're draining the story dry. You're bleeding the story. That's why Cosmic Armor was shown bleeding. He's a robot. Robots don't have blood. But he was shown bleeding because he's a reference to the story bleeding. And that's what Mandrak was doing. So let me show you the author interview of what Grant says that Mandrak is. And again, I showed the proof from the source material telling us that Dax Novu, Mandrak, is the part of the Overvoid that felt contaminated. And that's really the only reason why he transcends the Cosmic Armor.
Okay.
Yeah, so like when you see like that last panel he showed where Superman, Cosmic Armor is like stabbing Dax Novu, like that's not really like physical damage he's taking. They're from beyond meaning.
It was a little hard to understand you. The thing was like it was like a little cutting out. My voice was doing that from your end, but it was definitely doing it on my end.
Yeah, cutting out a little bit there, Will.
Yeah, it's a little wonky. I don't know what's happening there, but
should I repeat what I said, or do you basically get most of it?
I say disconnect.
I kind of get it, back. But it's cutting in and out. Maybe you should reconnect because there's some problems there.
Bro, sounding like actual Cosmic Armor.
Yeah, I thought I don't know, sometimes you can't tell, like, I'm talking normally, but other people on the other end can't hear it if it's normal. But I also still want to talk to you about specifically the Dragon Ball stuff.
Sure.
Because you said a lot of ridiculous things about Dragon Ball, not specifically doing with Dragon Ball against Cosmic Armor Superman, because that's not the thing that I care about when it comes to your Dragon Ball content. What I care about is how you represent Dragon Ball's power scaling in general as a whole. There's a lot of things that you said that were just wrong, especially about there only being like 4 galaxies. So I do want to talk about that later.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Anytime you want.
All right, I'm back. My bad. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I think it just has a little bit of a problem there. I just heard it a little bit, but talk a little bit more so we can hear. Can you talk a little bit more so we can hear if the audio is completely working? Because I just heard a little bit of a problem.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't hear no problem now. Okay.
Alright, so
okay, never mind.
Well, he went right back to it. Yeah, Will, your mic is all screwed up. We can't hear a word you're saying.
Hmm? Are you trying to talk or what's happening? Yeah, it seems like it's showing the internet service on it is going up and down. Yeah, hey, yeah, it was weird. I don't know. But it seemed like you were muted or something like that.
Dang. I really don't know what's happening. Can you hear me now?
Right now,
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to say before was when you see Cosmic Armor Superman like picking up that spear and like stabbing Mandrak, like that's not like physical. You know what I mean? That's like more. Okay. You know, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I think I already said that already, but I just wanted to reaffirm that point.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear earlier when it was cutting in and out. But yeah, I think your audio is. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely a lot. I don't think, though, you guys were right about just going through the Final Crisis. For you to get a better scope of this, you would have to read other stuff outside of it, because a lot of the information does come more from interviews. So just reading Final Crisis doesn't give you the full scope of the story itself. So yeah, I don't agree with, because I did read the whole Final Crisis. It's not like, oh, if you read the whole Final Crisis, you understand everything. There are stuff that are extra sources that I think you need to, or information that you need before you get into it. Because for me, I'm really specific about trying to give people the exact amount of information on where to find all the information on stuff. Because if there's a story that explains some stuff, but it leaves some things out, I think that can be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Authors do that on purpose.
Yeah, I have to do more research myself. A lot of these images do help out the discussion here, but so yeah, I think we're done with this one.
It starts.
But I do want to talk to comic curator about the whole Dragon Ball power scaling thing as a whole, because there's a lot of things that I've seen you say that is incorrect, and even in the comment section and discussions we've had, you've either completely ignored what I've stated or you just use the same arguments again. And I think there's a lot of misleading information when it comes to your takes on Dragon Ball. That's where I mostly had my problems with you with the Dragon Ball stuff. The Cosmic Armor Superman stuff, I only like mentioning him because I felt like you were kind of trolling the Dragon Ball content. So I was like, if you're gonna troll that, I'm gonna troll your guy a little bit more, because I don't know who else you like outside of him.
Yeah, I troll the Dragon Ball community by reading out the guidebooks with real translations, showing the clips from the source material and the manga.
No, you take things out of context.
No, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do, and there's no way I'm going to let anybody say anything different. There are no interpretations on my end, and I'm more than happy to have any discussion that you want.
There's completely things that you got wrong.
Let me answer your questions, though.
Like, for galaxies, and then
you were
somehow there's
saying
only
that
19 light years across. I don't know where you got the 19 light years from.
Ignoring you. If I was ignoring you, then it's because you were repeating the same arguments over and over, and I have no interest in repeating the same things and showing you the same
so when I
source
called that,
material
you used the
over and
Jocko
over and
example,
over.
you
So
said,
literally
I
just
debunked
left the
that, but you never
conversation.
really went against the argument. You
Hold
never
on,
gave
time
an
out.
actual concrete argument
Time out
against
real
it.
If you're arguing with me on stuff and I'm giving you actual translations, guidebooks, the source material in the anime clips in Japanese, English, and the manga panels, then yeah, I'm just gonna leave after that and leave it to whoever else wants to listen or not.
So you ignored the fact that when I said that heaven was stated to be the size of the universe, that was also in the Daizenshuu, it was stated in the anime, and other YouTubers have also pointed out and had that information,
And
but
I don't
it
recall
wasn't.
ever saying it wasn't. I recall actually making about 15 different videos showing the illustrations and the Daizenshuu saying that it's the same size as the mortal realm. I never said anything different. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
You did
where
in the
did I
comment
ever say it was
section.
different?
I literally said that you really believe that that heaven is the same size as the universe. I'm like, yeah, it says in the Daizenshuu, and you disagreed with it literally in the comment section. So I don't know what you mean by that.
You're gonna have to show me where I said that, because I don't recall saying that, and it goes against every other video I've ever made. I've only ever said listen to the Daizenshuu on it, say that it's the exact same size. So I'm not sure where you're getting at. Are you sure you were talking to real me? Because there's a lot of people who masquerade under my name.
It was you, because there's also the other troll account. I think it was like the anime curator, specifically, where you were talking on my thing, and then you literally did confirm it because you were
Is that Yoda?
repeating the whole story.
Bro, I don't think
so it was
he
the
was
same
talking
thing.
He doesn't
to
have
me.
an account called Anime Curator, dude.
Yo, that has to be Yoda.
I do not have that account. You were not talking to me, dude.
Dragon Ball, that wasn't MJ. There's a person in the server, and he like trolls a lot. And if his name was Anime Curator, I'm pretty sure that was Yoda. So
that was
Yeah,
the second
dude,
one. The
you were
first
not
one I
talking
did
to
have
me.
an argument with you.
I have tons and tons and tons of videos of me saying that it's the same size, reading off of the Daizenshuu saying it's the same size, and having arguments with other people saying no, it's not the same size, and me saying yes, it is. You have to listen to Akira and the guidebooks. So you were not talking to me. You're talking to somebody else completely.
I think he was
parading
talking to
as me.
Yoda.
Yeah, I think you were probably talking to a dude in my server who likes to have different alts with my name. Like, I'm pretty sure that you were talking to Super Blue, like the original OG.
But that was the second one. The first one was, it just had your comic curator one. The second one was the anime curator. But the first one, first time I was arguing with somebody, it was the comic curator. I can
Where were you
find the
arguing?
messages.
Was this on Discord or was this on YouTube?
It was on YouTube. It was in my comment section of my video.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show me that one, because I'll copy and paste a whole bunch of links to you from my videos and my discussions and my community posts on YouTube, where I say that the Otherworld is shown to be the same size as the Mortal Realm universe. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let me see.
And I'm
I think
also
Dragon
directly
Ball's a
telling you,
victim
like,
of Yoda.
right now, like, literally my mouth is moving and I'm talking right now, saying that I don't believe that. And I've never believed that. So I don't...
Okay. But you have said that it's only 19 light years across. I think you said the galaxies itself. I don't know where you got the 19 light years from.
Yeah, I made
There was
like,
never any
like
mention of
30
it.
different videos showing why I said it's between 9.9 and 40. It's because of the Popo ship calculation in the Namek saga. When they did the test flight, they showed the speed of the ship flying to Jupiter and back. So if you do that calculation at that speed over a week, which is the time frame that the ship flew to Namek, you get 519 times light speed, which puts the galaxy at maximum. If you place Earth and Namek on the opposite sides of the galaxy, it would be 9.9 light years. So that's the bottom end. If you put it at the furthest galaxy, it would be 40 light years, which is why I said between 9.9 and 40 light years wide. That's the source material. That's not me making up random numbers. That's what Dragon Ball said. They said it. I didn't say that. I'm saying you can make your own choice. Do you want to listen to them talk about the light speed calculations in the source material for Popo's ship? Then you listen to the source material. If you don't like that and you want to believe there's infinite, billion, trillion, endless galaxies and they're infinite size and they're all infinite quadrants instead of 4 galaxies like the author said it was in the guidebook, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to listen to the source material. I'm going to listen to the guide.
That's a mistranslation.
And
We do
also
see
gonna
other
listen to
galaxies.
Akira
When
tell
Goku's
me
searching for
that there's only
Vegeta,
4. He said there's only 4 galaxies. The source material then
Those were
calculated
4
Goku's
quadrants.
speed and the distance to wherever Namek was. It took, what, a week or 9 days or something like that? At 519 times light speed, that equates to 9.9 to 40 light years wide. Math doesn't lie. The only people that lie are scalars.
Okay, you say that, but Toriyama literally said that the living universe was designed based off of our universe.
No, he didn't.
Which we
He
know
actually
our
said
universe
that
is
he
far bigger than that.
specifically made the entire Dragon Ball cosmology very small because he has memory problems. And then Supreme Kai also says there's only about 30 or so actually complex life planets in each galaxy, specifically in the North Galaxy. Okay, so no. He says in the guidebook that there's only 4 galaxies.
He said there's 28 intelligent life forms throughout the entire universe due to the fact that, well, most of the planets were wiped out from Kid Buu, Fat Buu. Beerus wiped them out. The Supreme Kais didn't bring much life into there because a lot of them got wiped out. So the reason that there was a low amount was because so much destruction.
No,
that doesn't mean
that
it's
they
because
teleport one by one. They were shown to teleport one by one to every planet. And you're right, I said it wrong. It was the universe, which makes it even worse. I said it was just the galaxy that had 28 to 30 complex planets in it. But it's the universe. That's from Supreme Kai. Again,
well, look at our universe. We only know one life.
The source material. Hang on, wait. If fans don't want to listen to the source material, that's fine. They don't have to. I don't care. I'm going to show you what the source material said. I'm going to show you what Akira said. I'm not going to make any headcanons up about it being based on anything else. He said that he specifically made it a small cosmology because he can't remember.
He did not. He did not. Where did he say he made it a small cosmology? He said he drew the design for it to be more simplistic so it's easier to understand. But that isn't directly everything. Like, he never said it was smaller. He said he made it simpler.
He made it simple. He made it simple and easy to understand all the locations.
Yeah,
which makes it
the model he was showing us was made simple, not the universe itself.
You're completely revising what the context is there because you want it to be infinite or something like that. No, he had memory problems. He wants to talk about it. He wants to easily remember all of these locations and important factors. So he specifically made it small.
Where did he say that? Where did you get that from then?
You just quoted
Where did he say
it.
he made it specifically small?
It's about the Daizenshu, and I've already posted this in multiple videos.
He literally made it in the interview. He said that he designed this.
You just told me that he makes it simplistic, and you're revising what the word simplistic means.
No, this isn't an interview. He literally said it. He literally said in an interview that he drew this drawing for us to be simplistic. And he even writes on the bottom that things are not up to scale. So it's not a direct 100% correlation. It's just to give us a little bit of an understanding.
This is headcanon at best.
I don't know where you got that he made it small. He never said smaller. And we do see other galaxies. We see it when Goku's searching for Vegeta. When he goes to train with Beerus, we see multiple galaxies there.
When Goku was searching for Beerus.
Those are not nebulas. We see the galaxy formations.
That is more headcanon. There are 4 galaxies because the author said so.
That is bullshit. He never said those are quadrants. Those are different separate areas. You know what they said for
quadrants. There's no such thing as a galaxy being translated as a quadrant. There are multiple entries in the Daizenshu, my friend, that say 4 galaxies, and that North Kai is the Kai of just the North Galaxy, not the other quadrant. I don't know where people get this quadrant thing from. Goku showed us in Dragon Ball Super. There's only 4. There's only 4, and Akira drew a map. There's only 4.
Where did you show us only 4 galaxies in Dragon Ball Super?
I've already posted the clip, dude.
He did not show 4 galaxies in the universe. When he was looking for Vegeta, we see more than 4, and those are not nebulas. We know the difference between nebulas. That's not a nebula. We even see it when Super Shenron grows big. We see all the galaxies around him.
Doesn't exist in the universe.
Those are obviously galaxies. Those are not nebulas. Nebulas are just dust clouds. Those are going to be big space clouds. They do not make spiral formations.
You're saying right now.
Why would there be spiral formations of nebulas?
Pops out between universe 6 and 7.
And you even hear Reese when he's passing galaxies, when he's going to places. When he went to the dinosaur planet to get some dinosaur meat. He literally says, I'm passing a few galaxies, I'm almost there. He says the same thing when he goes to the edge where the, nameless planet is. He says, we're passing a few galaxies. So they've gone to other galaxies and they literally mentioned there's other galaxies.
You revise the word simple to mean whatever you want, and you're revising the word edge and a few galaxies to mean infinite. So this is just revisionism. Like a few galaxies.
I never said it was infinite. I've never said it. If you've ever checked my videos, I've actually argued against the universe being infinite. I stated that universe is the same as our universe. Because Toriyama himself said that he modeled that universe to be our universe.
It's up to the fans to look at this video.
Headcanon. He literally said it. I don't know where you're getting this headcanon from. He literally said that. You even said that he made it smaller, but he never said that. I don't know where you got that's headcanon. You saying that he said it was smaller.
Dude, your original claim was that I was wrong, and I'm showing you the source material, and you are revising the source material your own way.
You do know this is Japanese. A lot of these words in these translations are different. For example, Bojack was stated to be in a star when he broke out. But the star was not a star, it was actually a planet. Even though it was translated as star, it was still a planet. And that planet was King Kai's planet. King Kai's planet, he was trapped inside there. That's clearly not a star. But they mentioned star. They literally wrote star
on my channel, and I get actual
Japanese and connotations are different.
Accredited translators in Japan.
We see multiple galaxies all the time. They literally mention other galaxies. We literally said he was bypassing a few other galaxies.
Dude,
there's clearly not just 4.
You are backtracking right now after I showed everybody that you weren't right about where Shenron, Super Shenron, even appeared. He did not appear.
Unless you're saying all those galaxies that we saw and then mentioned were just nebulous somehow.
Dude, listen. I don't want to have this discussion where you're going to deflect and deny literally everything that I'm showing you.
I don't really care where anyone scales Dragon Ball, so I'm just gonna.
I'm not going to have this discussion further because you've already gotten so many things wrong just by looking.
But it's okay. I'll make more videos on this. I'll also make a more video on debunking the Galaxies BS, because this is an argument a lot of Dragon Ball Down players try to use a long time ago. But then it was completely disproven, and nobody except for you have seen nowadays uses that. Even the biggest Dragon Ball Down players who try to put these characters at, barely even plant level. Some guys say that they're not even plant level.
Because some guys said it's not a valid argument. I'm unbiased. They aren't. I'm unbiased.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't care this biased argument that you are. Nobody uses this argument. This has been disproven a long time ago.
It's never been disproven. Again, you are using headcanon from other people. They said so, therefore they're right. You just made this mistake of saying where Super Shenron appeared. That's not accurate. What are you talking about? Super Shenron never appeared in the universe. What are you talking about? There aren't infinite galaxies in the middle of the universes, between Universe 6 and 7. What are you talking about?
He was not at the edge. What happened was that's where they started. He flew around. He literally ate a planet. He ate a planet and flew around a star. He flew outside of it.
What are you talking about? We saw him going in the middle of it. Inside of the middle of the universes. It is not inside of any universe. You're just
no. These were the border
headcanon. This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
These were the
it's in the clip.
No, listen. These were the borders of both galaxies, Universe 6 and 7. After that, when he grew,
Super Shenron in the middle. He is not inside of any universe, so you're wrong. Dude.
Yes, he was. Did you not fucking listen when you see the shine? It literally shows both the universes, the edges of it. The nameless planet was literally on the edge of the universe. It was on the opposite edge of the universe. They literally said the Earth and the Milky Way galaxies on one end of the universe, and the nameless planet was on the other end of the universe. That's where they traveled. Once when he got activated, he didn't stay in the same spot. He flew away, he ate a planet and flew around a sun, and then flew throughout the entire thing, and then started to grow.
What are you talking about? The sun popped out of his magic sparkles. There was nothing there originally. They're shown between it. What am I turning off?
Yes, they're shown between. That's where they activated him. He flew away from there. He was flying the entire time. Planet literally. He flew around a sun, and then he started to grow. He was moving away. You think they just activated there and he stayed stationary? We literally see him flying. And we see him going throughout the universe and then growing bigger around all those other galaxies around him.
Going throughout the section between the universes. Nobody's gonna agree with you when I show the clip.
Nobody has nothing else. It shows the light when he first activated, the shining light on that, and then he moves away from there. He was not there the entire time.
That is not true.
This is the same BS people use to say, well, Goku didn't go halfway across planet Namek because they activated the Dragon Balls right next to them. But they were fighting throughout the entire place. They left. Same thing with Super Shenron. He activated there. We see the light shining from Universe 7 to Universe 6, and then we see him moving away from there. Yeah, see?
Here it is.
That's
He's in
the
between
edge of the
universes,
universe.
dude. You're
That's
just,
not between universes. That's
you're
the
caught in
edge of
4K.
it.
You are caught in 4K. You are not
We-
telling the truth. That is it.
This is
Nothing
not.
else. There's nothing else.
This is
to
the
say.
edge of Universe 7.
This
It
is
literally
between
says-
Universe 6 and 7. What are you talking about? What are you talking
Yes,
about?
it's the. Listen, it was the edge of it. You see the glow on it is shining between both of them, but after he activated, he left. We see him flying throughout the universe. He doesn't fly in this in-between
Again,
dimension.
I'll show the whole clip of what happens. As soon as he pops out, all the other shit pops out of him. All the other stars and planets are literal sparkles.
No, they
inside
do not
him.
pop out of him. He just flies
Let's find
past
out.
them.
Let's watch the
Okay,
whole
let's
clip
watch the
together.
clip. Me, I scale Goku at complex multiverse at the high end, but past that, I don't know.
I'm gonna start
Large
some
planetary?
shit. Eve scales him to large planetary. You should debate him.
Dude, why are you laughing about placement, bro?
Why do you scale Goku at large planetary?
Yeah, I mean, there's no feats above large planetary. Like, anybody who says he's above large planetary is just disingenuous.
Oh yeah, the whole thing about the narrator stating that Super Saiyan has the power of Super Saiyan God that threatened the entire, universe. Yeah, that doesn't
I
count.
don't care for like silly narration quotes. Like, I care about actual facts here.
So when the author says that for Cosmic Armor Superman,
Yeah,
you agree with
okay.
100%. But when the
Yeah, there's
narrator
difference
itself
between the
speaks
narration,
there,
which
you
is
disagree.
fallible, and the
Okay,
narrator.
yeah. You see your bias. You
I
take
don't
the
know why
author's
you're trying to
statement.
talk over me like a weirdo, right? Obviously, the narrator is different from the author.
Oh yeah, that's the author. The narrator was literally written from the story from the author. What do you think that is?
Trying to draw an equivalence if there's obviously a difference. Hello?
There's not a difference. It's the same exact thing. The narrator is literally what is the writer writing.
No, that's not true in the slightest, dude.
It's literally it's the same shit. You guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What the hell?
I can show you a
Like, who
scan
taught
right
you all this
now
stuff? Like,
about the narrator not being the author. Like, I can show you a scan showing the difference.
Yo, so Eve, if you scale Goku to large planetary, right? Do you chain scale Goku off Jiren? Do you scale Goku off Jiren, who like broke out of like space and time?
I mean, chain scaling is kind of like wonky, right? Because like some people have advantages over each other. Like we see people with the lower power levels, but being more skilled can just beat people with higher levels. Like we see it all the time. So it's kind of wonky to say that.
Yeah, but
I don't know where you got
Dragon Ball
from,
isn't
man.
different.
You never got that? Wait, hold on. You don't ever remember somebody with a lower power level outskilling a higher power level?
No, unless they're using some specific. Actually, not even a technique. They've never really done it.
You've never seen a technique in Dragon Ball.
To be fair, Eve is kind of right here because like Android 17, like when he caught Jiren off guard, he was able to damage him a bit. So I will say I agree there, but what I'm saying is like at full power, you don't think Goku is capable of destroying a large planet?
Frieza literally destroyed a planet that was...
A large planetary means I think he can destroy a large planet. Like I think if you throw him into the sun, he's gonna die.
Your logic is so ridiculous. Frieza literally destroyed a planet with 10 times Earth's gravity in his base form casually.
Yeah, okay.
Just do the math.
Why can't
and then Cell literally stated himself that he could destroy the entire solar system with the chi that he had there.
Yeah.
And it was stated in another night.
He'll literally die doing it, if he even could. I don't even think he can, but even if he could, he would die doing it.
That's a headcanon. Where did you get that he would die from that?
Where? Wait, they can't.
Saiyans
can't breathe
Saiyan God Vegeta can't handle the power of Magetta's.
That was not a Saiyan.
I don't think Cell can handle the power of a star's heat either, or a planet explosion. So.
A planet explosion? Frieza survived one. Cut in half and blasted in half.
Stop. Don't revise what I said. We're talking about heat. I don't know what you're talking about. I just mentioned the heat of the star, and you instantly
Yeah, we literally
changed that
said.
to the
Yeah, we literally said you throw it to the sun and they die.
Can we not
Hello?
do that, please?
If I had to guess, say we're inside.
I'm trying to pause the.
What? Wait, does that mean the dragon ate us? We're not all gonna turn into dragon poop, are we? This is serious, Goku. Will you grow up?
Are you playing the video?
Alright. I'll go back on mute because I don't want to interrupt your convo, but.
So one thing I don't understand too, why can't Saiyans breathe in space? Why can't Goku breathe in space if he's like multiversal? That's one thing I never understood. I think that's like a huge like deal.
I think that's ridiculous too, but it's just biological. It's a biological process. Same thing with a lot of characters. They basically hold their breath in space when you see them. Like Ultramites, they basically are holding their breath. So most characters don't really have like ability to breathe in outer space. They stated it's Frieza himself.
No, okay, well that's just wrong. Ultramites can live in space. That's why when you see Battle Beast go into space, he freezes and dies. Like Battle Beast needs to be saved, whereas like
I didn't say that they can't. I said that they can't breathe in outer space, so they have to hold their breath. They can hold their breath for a long time.
No,
but they still have to hold their breath. They can't just survive in outer space. They can go into outer space, but they can't survive there in general. It's an environment that will eventually kill them through
Nolan spent 3 weeks solid in outer space. Hello?
Yes, because this is comics. These are ridiculous stories. They hold their breaths ridiculously long.
Wait, hold on. So we're expected to believe he held his breath for a month long instead of him being able to survive in space?
They literally said that he's holding his breath. He literally said, "Did you fucking ignore all this shit?" Like, I don't know if you pay attention, but yeah.
I don't think you read the comics, bro.
Wait, before you guys get into like fucking Invincible, right?
No, just in general, we're talking about like, in space. Most characters cannot survive in space. Usually what the writers do is they have some leeway of, they're holding their breath and they're able to survive in deep space for a long time.
Yeah, one
That's just
thing
what
I
I'm
do
saying.
find ridiculous. I do agree with you there. I find it ridiculous how like Goku supposedly could like, break out of space and time, but he can't breathe in space. Like, come on, man.
I do think that is dumb, but Toriyama, he likes to keep them on Earth and on fighting in space. He says.
So do you believe Goku can't breathe in space, but like
no, he can't. He would die in space.
So like Jiren could like break out of Hit's space-time jail, right? But Goku, theoretically, if you put Goku in a space-time jail, he wouldn't be able to survive that. But we know MUI Goku was able to defeat Jiren. So like, is Goku scaling just based on his attack potency?
The lasers thing, yeah, I already talked about that before. I already said that was BS, but their whole thing was he dropped his guard. Dragon Ball, even dropping his guard down, he was able to tank bullets. Sniper bullets, pistol bullets. He was able to tank, falling from hundreds of feet in the air on. So yeah, Resurrection of F, I've acknowledged that it has bad power scaling, and that whole dropping your guard thing was bad. But when his guard is up, I wouldn't take him out. Yeah, Goku that is true. I've acknowledged that, but the whole problem with that is we've seen in Dragon Ball Goku getting hit with bullets while he was off guard, and he tanked it. And even when Gohan was fighting against what's his name? Dubura actually caught him off guard with his blast, and he survived that. And that should have way more power than the laser. So I just think that was bad. Right?
Yeah, another thing too, Frieza destroying the planet and killing Vegeta. Why is that a thing?
We slowly stated that Frieza can survive in the vacuum of space, and Vegeta can't.
I would love to know about this because a lot of people don't answer me in the comments when I ask this question. So we see Vegeta here just stand there for what, 5 to 10 seconds while the planet explodes, instead of turning Super Saiyan God and being able to survive this, knowing Whis and Goku are right next to him, will also survive this, and they can instant transmission to safety away while Frieza is left in space. But Vegeta didn't do that. Somehow, for some reason, Vegeta decided to give up and die. I would love to know what the reason for that is, because we talk about dropping the guard all the time. Like, we see Vegeta
wasn't off guard here
for so long, watching this planet explode in super slow motion, and apparently his reaction time is ungodly multiversal to a lot of other people. But the planet explosion should happen like in unbelievable slow-mo to him, even in that form. Yet he just stood there and let it happen because he knows he can't get away from the heat of the explosion vaporizing him, right? Or am I wrong to assume that?
The heat was never mentioned. It said he cannot survive in the vacuum of space.
It doesn't matter if it wasn't mentioned or not. You know, later in the series it was shown that Vegeta can't handle high heat in the first tournament against Vegeta. He couldn't handle steam and lava, and Goku was shown in a lava suit. Like, they can't, and Broly was destroyed by the sun and vaporized, and so was Cooler. They're not heat tolerant. So the explosion from a planet exploding for a brief moment is hotter than the sun. They can't handle a planet explosion, the heat of it. They can handle the concussive forces easily. They cannot handle the heat of a star. They can't handle the heat of a planet.
Was able to handle that.
They just can't do that.
So this is a question for you, Dragon Ball. Do you think Goku scaling, like if you put Goku up against like anyone, let's say he's fighting fucking Naruto, right? Do you believe Goku scaling is mainly attack potency instead of like physicals?
No, he has physicals because his punches, when he's fighting against these guys, right? They're tanking planet destroying attacks, and his punches are still damaging them and can kill them depending on like how much strong.
So, like, the reason why I say that is because the reason why I say that is because like Vegeta, he stated like I'm taking more of a calm approach compared to Eve and MJ right now.
Yeah, they're just downplaying it.
So what I want to know.
I'm the calmest person here. Hello.
Nah, Eve, you were raging. No, I'm kidding.
You were the worst one here. You know it.
So what I'm basically saying is like, one, Vegeta, he died to the explosion. If you want to argue like he can't survive in space, then he can't survive. But if he's like multiversal or whatever, why can't he survive in space?
Because those things aren't correlated. That's about power. Like, the surviving in space was he cannot breathe in space. There's a vacuum, so he needs an atmosphere. That's different. You can have certain things where characters can die from, like, you know, other things that doesn't have anything to do directly with his defense or his durability.
So when Vegeta tanked the planet explosion, he instantly died because he ran out of air in space.
Yeah, because
that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, man. It's so.
I get it. Resurrection of F had terrible writing. I've literally made multiple videos on my channel shitting on that arc in the show, and also Dragon Ball Super as a whole in the power scaling. I've even made a video saying that they are really powerful, but there's a lot of inconsistencies to the point where if you feel like that they're not, you can go ahead with it. But just to act as if 100% that's the case, that's not true. But yeah, Resurrection of F was definitely terrible power scaling because as a whole, like Frieza coming back. But the space thing, they never stated the explosion killed him. They would have said that directly. They just said the vacuum of space is what killed him. I think what happened when the planet exploded is probably knocked the wind out of him. So he couldn't hold his breath and knock the wind out of him, and then he was suffocating, and then he died. But he should have been able to survive longer than that. A regular human in deep space before we suffocate to death.
Concussive force did anything to him. I don't think a planet exploding is anywhere near powerful enough to even remotely phase Vegeta at that stage, even in base form.
But then,
yeah, I agree with that.
Would you argue that the planet killed him there?
So what I'm arguing is like. So MJ is saying the heat killed him. Yeah, MJ saying
the
heat killed him.
But they never mentioned anything about the heat. Why would we say the vacuum of space of the heat killed him? He could have just said, well, the heat obliterated him or disintegrated him.
Explain your argument here, remember? Like, not even 5 minutes ago, and you didn't do it. I want to know why Vegeta stood there and watched it happen in super slow motion when everybody claims he has unbelievable reaction time and can move massively, massively faster than light speed. He can just turn Super Saiyan God in that 10-second period. I don't understand how people are.
It's called bad writing. Here. That movie was chock full of bad writing.
Wait, hang on.
Like when I was arguing about the whole anti-monitor thing.
Wait. We want to go through the source material. We watched the planet explode. We know, everybody knows, that Vegeta can handle the explosion of a planet easily. So what killed him? And I don't think that Whis or Goku are just going to sit there in the protective bubble and watch Vegeta die in space after the planet explodes. I don't think that's logical. I don't understand that logic. Like, they're just going to watch their best friend die and suffocate. It's more logical that he was vaporized instantly from the explosion. Like, it's the heat that killed him, because later, again, the logic tracks that Vegeta has problems with heat, even in, like, higher forms. So what's the confusion here? The alternate route here is that after the planet explodes, Whis and everybody else in the bubble watch Vegeta die slowly. Do you think that's what?
No,
what
he
they actually wanted fans to take away?
Suffocation in outer space.
Well, I want you to explain it. I want you to go through it step by step. I want to hear.
I literally just said it. He died because of suffocation in space. He died instantly because of that. That's why he mentioned literally the vacuum of space. He could survive. Frieza could survive the vacuum of space, and why Vegeta was dead. He would have just said the heat of the sun. Why didn't he say the heat of the planet killed him? If that was the case, why didn't he say the heat of the
Dragon Ball, there is a bit of a flaw in your argument, and I'm not doing this to attack you at all. Because to be honest with you, I really don't care about Dragon. Well, no, I love Dragon Ball. I just don't really care about like the scaling like that. But you said the planet, the force of the planet knocked the wind out of him, but we all just agreed that he could tank the force of a planet like completely. You know what I mean? We just all agreed on that he could like.
It's almost like the statement doesn't say they can't breathe in space, but they can't survive in space, and that's the statement. But whatever.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up and said, you know.
Yeah,
like
I just said survive in space instead of the breathing was because all the way back when Frieza first fought against Goku, they mentioned it multiple times that he will die in the vacuum of space because he cannot breathe in space. They said it multiple times, so this time when they did it, they didn't need to explain that he would die without oxygen because they already did that before. We already acknowledged that Saiyans biologically need oxygen to breathe. Without it, they will die. So they don't need to redo that.
And how long does Vegeta sit in space? That my question was: the planet explodes after Frieza blew it up. Now, how long is Vegeta floating in space with no air? Is it instant before he dies, or is he sitting there for however long he can hold his breath before he dies? Which one is it?
Before they left, it wasn't like an instant. The bubble they were forming, you still see the planet completely being destroyed. It wasn't like a second passed. Like there was still time, quite a bit of time that passed before they ended up on the rock. Okay, so it wasn't instant.
Again, that's not what I asked.
10 seconds.
I just want to know.
After he's been engulfed in flames, how long until he dies?
I want to know how long he was in the vacuum of space before he died. That was my question.
I don't know. They didn't give us an exact time frame.
Okay.
They just showed
a
white light, and the white light went away, and then we see them gone after the explosion. So we didn't get an exact time frame.
Got it. So he's floating in space
in 3 minutes.
Dies from the lack of oxygen. My concern here, again, wait, hang on. My concern here is that all of his friends, including Whis and Goku, who has instant transmission, who can easily teleport Vegeta to other worlds so he can breathe, watched their friend die slowly in space. That's your
No, they didn't watch him slowly because they didn't. The moment they were in the bubble, he was already dead by. They didn't see him suffocating. I don't know what you mean by he was.
I just watched the clip, and as soon as Frieza starts to blow it up is when Whis puts up the shield. Then the planet explodes, and you can see Vegeta is stuck on all kinds of debris where the planet is exploding and separated. Then it fully explodes. And your argument is that by the point the atmosphere goes away, that is when Vegeta starts to suffocate. And Whis and Goku are there in the bubble, protected the entire time, watching. That's my concern, and that's what I'm trying to understand in your logic.
But Toriyama didn't write it where he was still dying or suffocating at that point. For Toriyama, what he wrote it was right after that he died. He wasn't putting him there still surviving. We don't see him still surviving. He was dead after. Like after the light goes away, we see them off.
That. I'm just asking you: did Whis and Goku watch their friend die, floating in space? He just stood there and floated in space and died after the explosion, right? Because that's the only other alternative.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the story had bad writing. A lot of stuff don't make sense. Like for example,
that's all I wanted to clear up so fans can fully understand that you believe that they just watched their friend die. That's all I want to know. So you confirmed it, and I won't attack you further.
I said multiple times they didn't watch him die. He instantly died. It wasn't like time was passing. After the explosion of the planet, he died. So it's not like they were just waiting there, seeing him suffocate to death, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're not gonna do anything." He literally died by the time the planet was already destroyed.
Okay, then we go back to my question: what caused him to instantly die, and where are you getting this from? That Vegeta will instantly die from holding his breath? Because Old Man here and Will were also saying they can hold their breath for a while.
He didn't hold his breath.
But you just said he instantly died. Do you not see where?
Yeah, he instantly died. He didn't hold his breath. That's why.
So he
did you see Frieza?
He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to fly over to Whis or Goku, and he decided to die from Frieza, which is the worst thing for Vegeta to do, to give up.
Look,
like that does not track with his personality in the slightest. In the slightest. Like Vegeta's character personality and study is that he will do anything to not let Frieza beat him. So you're saying no, ignore that. He gave up and instantly died. That's your argument.
Do you not understand? Look, here's the problem with that. Even before that, he could have done something. You could make the argument, why was he just standing there? He hears Frieza literally saying he's going to blow the planet, picks his hands up, he's charging up an energy and puts it up there. He could have obliterated him before he did that, but Vegeta was just standing there holding the blast out, not doing anything. This was Toriyama's lazy way of making it where even though Vegeta beats him, he still loses, so he wrote a BS way for him to die. He literally could have just killed him right there and then. What made him stop and just hold his hand out, especially seeing Frieza's gonna blow up the planet, and instead of just obliterating him, why did he just stand there? Well, because it's stupid writing.
That's what I'm asking.
Like, that's the whole point of figuring it out, is to discuss what the source material shows us. And backscaling is when you say, nuh-uh, just ignore that, we're not going to use that, which is what you're doing right now.
What about my argument when I talked about the anti-monitor where I said, well, why didn't he just wipe out the, Prime universe to wipe out everything else? Oh, well, they didn't think of it then. So we can make excuses for bad writing there or illogical, planning. Oh, he didn't think of wiping out the Prime universe, which could have wiped out the whole multiverse and saved him trouble.
So that doesn't
Same thing with Vegeta. Why didn't he just obliterate it instead of just standing there watching him?
The actual conversation that took place, because we told you, and we agreed after that Anti-Monitor did this in sections, and that it seems to be his plan to take out a lot first and then do more later. And my statement
why didn't he put up the main
was because that was what the statement was.
Your excuse was the writers didn't think of it, so I was like, okay, that's fine.
I am not going to let you revise what I said and what my own argument was. That it's not going to happen. You can flip-flop all around.
Stop bullshitting, dude. You literally are fucking lying now.
No.
You literally said, I asked you,
don't... video that we discussed this, and we agreed that afterwards, after we had more talks on it, that we agreed it was done in sections. That he did a lot
no,
first, and then he came back for a little bit
I
more.
didn't agree to that. You said that.
What you were concerned about, of how the anti-monitor can delete an infinite amount, but then there's finite left over. That literally just answers the question. He did delete everything else, but before it was done, they took the other universes and threw them away. So that's pretty much answered.
Yeah, the Crisis on Infinite Earth's cosmology was infinite.
But he said he wiped out over 1,000 right now, and that there's only a few left. That was with the 5. That's the whole point. He didn't wipe out like an infinite instantly. He was wiping them out one by one by one, and then he got to the last few 5 after he wiped out over 1,000. And then these are the last few. So I said that his plan was to wipe out everything. They stopped him at one point, and then he continued on again after.
That's what I said.
But I said, why did he start from all this other
So you're doubling back twice. You're lying about when you lied.
No,
I could care less.
Why didn't he wipe out the Prime universe? He could have wiped out everything. Why go in sections? Why do all this other planning? Why didn't he just wipe out a universe Prime?
Which one of us are lying? When I go back and I tell you what my argument was, and you agree that that's what I said,
no.
5 seconds earlier you said, no, it's something different.
No, what the hell are you talking about? I literally said, why didn't he wipe that out? And then you said, well, the writers didn't think of it then.
Different.
Like,
can I interject?
And I said I agree with you because I understand sometimes writers do stupid shit that doesn't make sense. I could agree with that. Same thing with Vegeta here. So that's why I'm using that as an example. They could have done something that would have made way more sense, but they didn't do it because they didn't even think of it, or maybe it was a simpler way to do it for them.
There's something I want to say. There's something I want to say, Dragon Ball. I think you're confusing what we're actually doing. When we were talking about the anti-monitor, right? And we said, maybe it's bad writing or whatever. To be honest with you, I kind of forgot that entire thing. I'll rewatch it on the video. What we came to an agreement of what happened, right? That's what we're doing here with Vegeta. What killed him instantly? we agreed he could take the force of a planet. So, if he could take the force of a planet, how would it knock the wind out of him? You know what I mean? That's the answer. We're trying to get down to the answer. Because we agreed on the anti-monitor stuff. Now we're trying to do it with Vegeta. What the hell happened there?
No, we didn't. The thing about the agreement on the anti-monitor thing is you guys made a reasoning for why this BS story happened. Why was it this way? And then you said, well, the writers didn't think of it. So yes, the writers have sometimes bad moments where they write stupid shit. He could have just wiped out the Prime Universe, wiped out everything else instead of doing all this other stupid plans. Why didn't Vegeta just obliterate him instead of just standing there? Because the writers fucking made a stupid ass decision. That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's what we're trying. We're trying to get to an answer that we can all agree on, like we did with the.
There's no real answer. The writers fucking wrote something stupid that makes no sense. That's the answer. There's no real fucking.
So that
there's no way to convince writer why he did that.
Disagree.
Why he would just stop there and
Vegeta then, right?
Agree with you in the slightest.
That's the most logical hypothesis we came down to,
or anything like that. I think it's just that Vegeta knew he couldn't handle what was about to come, no matter what. He was way too close to the blast core of a planetary explosion that exceeds the heat of a star. Like, there's nothing he can do about it. He literally said, it's over. I stand no chance. I'm not fast enough to get away. I'm not fast enough to put my guard up. But your version of that is to ignore all of that and to go with bad writing. No, it's the reverse, dude.
That's headcanon. Where did he say that? That's all headcanon you just made up. He literally, they made him stupid on purpose, just standing there, just doing nothing.
Again, yeah.
That's the reason why he died. He
purposely killed himself by Frieza? You really believe that?
No. The writer made him stupid, just like how characters, when they power up, instead of them intervening or doing something, they just stand there and watch. Same thing right here. Instead of him just killing him, he just stood there and watched because the writer made him stupider not to do anything. It's not that, oh, I accepted this fate. Because he could even prevent it before that. He didn't do it because he was being stupid. Why did he stand there?
I see no logic in what he's saying. None.
No. What are you
bro? We're trying to find the most logical. We're trying to find the most logical explanation to why Vegeta died in this instant. We agree he could take a planet, like the force of a planet. So if he can take the force of a planet,
I'm saying it's bad writing. Literally, there's not always logic to some stories. There's no logic for him just standing there holding the blast out. He should have just obliterated him. There's no logic to it. Right. Sometimes writers write stupid shit that makes no sense. That's what I'm saying. There's no logic. You can't apply logic to stuff that has no logic in it.
He was gonna die no matter.
There's no logical reason for him to stand there.
There was no point in raising his power level to God level or anything like that, because even in God level, he can't handle.
Let me go back to the clip real quick. Hold on.
So he literally counted his last blessing, and it's over.
Well, why didn't he kill him before he did that? He could have killed him before he did that. Why didn't he do that?
Because Vegeta was monologuing.
Why didn't he kill him before Frieza blew up the planet? He could have prevented him before that.
Ground and started to blow it up. What are you talking about?
What are you saying? No, it was not that quick. Vegeta stopped monologuing and just stared at him, holding his hand out. He stopped talking and he was just watching him fucking lose his shit and then blow up the planet. Why didn't he just stop him right there and then? He could have obliterated him right there. Why didn't he?
So wait, so do you agree Vegeta could react to Frieza?
Yes. Frieza was in his base
in the clip when he's about to destroy the planet, Vegeta he's shocked and he starts moving back.
Absolutely right.
If he could react to Vegeta,
because
and if he's multiple faster than light,
they
whatever
set up that golden.
Why didn't he just
so far
blitz Frieza?
Blue, Goku and Vegeta, and the logic would track that his base form is also significantly more than base Vegeta, so he wasn't able to react to it.
No, we saw base Goku fighting as base Final Form Frieza. Base Goku was stronger than Final Form Frieza, and then he turned to Gold. And this version of Frieza at this point was drained of energy. His energy was down and low, so he was even weaker than that.
Wait, Dragon Ball, that's
did you not even watch the fucking movie? Literally, base Goku fought against Final Form Frieza. He was beating the crap out of him. He went to Golden Form, and then literally Frieza stated that you're too weak in this state because you didn't work on your stamina, so your stamina is low. So when he went back to his final form, he was even weaker than he was when he first started. So he should have been an even weaker version, so making him below even base Vegeta at that point. There's no reason. Vegeta standing there with his hand out, just watching him do this shit, he could have intervened. We've seen this before multiple fucking times. We've seen attacks where they're coming at them, and instead of moving out the way, they're just and getting hit by it. We've seen these guys transforming and they're not doing anything. They could literally react and fight them and attack them, but they just stand there watching them transform. It's fucking... You know, anime logic is stupid. They have to have certain things being allowed. These are like plot devices just to have the plot move on forward. This was Toriyama's super plot device to have Vegeta win the fight but lose the battle.
What makes more sense? Anime logic is stupid, or you're putting your own logic onto the anime and making them stupid?
Anime logic is stupid. Okay, then explain to me, why didn't Vegeta blast him right there and then? You're telling me that blast him while he was complaining and punching the ground and lifting his hand up and then dropping it down to blow the planet? He couldn't have fucking killed him then?
No need to filibuster. I'll explain. The reason for this is because if you knew anything about how the Earth's core works, it stores energy. So the Earth's core has more energy. That's why when the core exploded, it vaporized him.
How does that go against the argument I was making right there? I said, why didn't Vegeta blast him right there? He had the speed enough to destroy him before he even did that. Yeah, he was punching the ground, crying and monologuing before he did it.
I don't think.
What was the logic behind that? I don't think it was an illogical reason.
We went over this.
Yeah, well, if you scale Vegeta Blue to Multiversal, why didn't he use his Multiversal MFTL plus reaction speed to either run to Whis or just obliterate Frieza right there?
Vegeta
why didn't he use that speed to obliterate Frieza when he was crying and gonna blow up the planet before that?
He's not gonna instantly stupid. He wants to enjoy it.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. That's why.
While he was trying to do it slowly,
he doesn't have that ability.
Frieza shoots the ground instantly and fires a blast so fast into the ground that it immediately starts to erupt. While you were saying all this,
no, he did not.
While you were talking, I was showing the actual clip. So people were watching in real time what the actual clip was while you were saying something completely different.
No. He was bitching the entire time, screaming, saying, damn it, punch the ground twice. He's literally just standing there, not saying anything, looking at him. And then he's like, I'm going to just planet as he lifts his hand up. Before he even does that, he could have just gone over there and grabbed him by his wrist. It's not like he was moving at super speed to do that. He literally handed up and started talking shit and said, I'm going to destroy this entire planet. And he's just like, with dumb anime logic. Like, he fucking could have attacked him way before that. He literally had time with. There was an infinite amount of time to do it.
Save up to 23%.
So what's the most logical explanation?
Diabolical.
So why Vegeta died then?
Most logical, like I said, it's plot-induced stupidity. The real writing is Toriyama just wanted an excuse to have Vegeta die, so he wrote a stupid scene where Vegeta's just standing there watching Frieza lose shit and then blowing up the planet, and then having it, well, the planet got destroyed, so there was no atmosphere, and he died, and to have it, be a big threat, it happened instantly.
First 25 seconds.
Yeah, it's buffering right now. Stuck on a commercial.
Yeah,
you guys are kind of... There's a lot of illogical moments in just anime in general where they just stand around. It's literally a comedy. These guys stand around, they could have prevented stuff. He had a perfect time window to do something. It's not like he instantly did it or secretly was doing it.
So again, when you
he literally fucking said, I'm gonna blow up the planet while he lifted up his hand.
Eyes that the cosmic armor gave you. You can see that Frieza pounds the ground and Vegeta thinks that he's just pounding the ground, but he's actually throwing the energy blast into the ground, and it shocked him and surprised him that he did that. So you didn't watch the clip. You didn't even watch the clip.
Also, why would it surprise him of the clip isn't even starting yet?
He pounded the ground on his knees.
Why would Vegeta be surprised when he knows how Frieza is? They know Frieza will
Dragon Ball planet up when he punched the ground. As he punched the ground, he launched a key attack to the center of the Earth, which is something he didn't think he was going to do. It's in the clip that I showed you. We're watching it right now. Everything that you're saying is not correct. He wants to savor killing
he's going to do something that he's obviously well known for and he's done before. That makes no sense. See, it shows that Vegeta was being stupid there.
He's not going to instantly do it and then walk away. He wants to enjoy it. We know that Vegeta hates Frieza more than anybody. So he's logically going to enjoy it. But your argument, bro, your argument is against the character.
What was he enjoying at that point? You didn't say anything, he was just standing there.
Wait, hold on. Calm down, guys. Vegeta also screams, what?
Yeah, that's what I was literally saying before.
That's
he
what I'm trying to
reacts like
say.
he's surprised.
He
He's shocked. He's like,
didn't
what?
expect him to
He
do
steps
that.
back. And then the planet blows up. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If he has, like, these fucking multiversal faceted and, like, fucking reaction speeds, why didn't he either, A, run to Whis, or 2, just fucking obliterate Frieza? You know what I mean? Like, if he literally, like, he's surprised that Frieza does this, and he, like, steps back, and, like, he's like, what? Like, what? And then he just dies.
So how fast do you guys think he is? You think he moves at, what, like, human level speed?
I don't think he's human level.
No, of course not. He's supersonic.
Not
Let's
if
be
you're shocked
realistic
by
here.
it.
Even at supersonic speed, you could have been able to do something there.
No,
You're telling me that short amount of distance, you wouldn't be able to do something with power blast?
Earth's core is?
No, you're just not watching the clip.
No, you guys are not listening.
What we're saying
You
is
could have
he was
prevented him
shocked
before
by
he even did
Frieza.
that.
We're saying he was shocked by
Of course
Frieza
not.
doing this. Can you agree on that?
No.
Watch the clip then. Just watch the clip. He
You guys
steps
really...
back.
You guys are saying that they're planet level at most and hypersonic at most.
I really don't care about Dragon Ball Scaling. I'm gonna be real.
I know,
What
I'm not saying you, but I'm saying these two
though,
guys. Because you guys are saying he doesn't have
What?
faster than light
No,
reflexes.
MJ, dude, MJ, he's delusional like you. He thinks it's galaxy level.
He's beyond galaxy level.
MJ believes he's galaxy level. Ave thinks he's large planetary.
So then explain to me this. How was Frieza able to destroy a planet with 10 times Earth's gravity in his base form casually, and then they get way stronger than that, but they're still just large planet level?
Yeah, it's almost like the Earth. It's almost like the core of a planet holds it together. So all you have to do is
You
destroy
didn't
the
destroy
core,
the
which is
core
what
of
he did.
Vegeta. That was only dynamic.
Do you
You
have
didn't
any
destroy the
background
core
in
of Planet
science?
Vegeta. You literally obliterated Planet Vegeta.
I
You
just want to
one-shotted
know.
it.
Do you have any
You guys
background
talked over
in
each other.
science
I didn't hear you.
whatsoever?
So you're lying now. He did not destroy the core of... What? He didn't destroy the core of Planet Vegeta. He literally one-shotted it. It was
your
instant.
question?
I just wanted to know if he has any
my God, this video's
backstory
fucking take
in
forever.
science.
Wait, MJ,
Did
what
he
was your
study
question?
science? Do you have any background in science? Do you understand how, massive objects work in a vacuum? Just basic questions. So I want to understand your side of this.
Wait,
when you
Dragon
say,
Ball.
that Frieza destroyed a planet with 10 times the gravity, and he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Well, I want to know if you understand that how gravity works in a vacuum, and the amount of force required goes up exponentially as mass increases. So it's not like a perfect value. What your terrible logic here is that it's a perfect 1-to-1 ratio.
Yes.
That means you need 10 times the amount of power if it has 10 times the amount of gravity. But you've implied it. No,
I never said it needs 10 times. I'm saying if the planet has at least 10 times Earth's gravity, it's saying it has at least 10 times Earth's gravity, which would be way past destroying just a
Who's
planet
arguing that?
like ours. So it would require even more energy than that,
who was
with the
arguing that?
very least just having 10 times Earth's gravity. I never said it's 1-to-1 exactly 10 times.
Okay, so
You
now
have
that
to-
you said that, like I said before, he didn't even destroy the planet. The core, he destroyed the core, right? We see the energy directly travel to the core, and then we see the core explode, which in turn shoots lava out of the Earth's core. I mean, not the Earth, out of the planet's core, and then explodes the planet. So he doesn't destroy the planet, but the core.
And with fucking Planet Vegeta, you're saying?
Well, in the clip, right?
Yes,
The
I'm not
core
talking
is
about this
what's
clip.
being
I'm talking about Frieza. I'm not talking about in this clip. I'm talking about in the original story fucking planet Vegeta, which had 10 times Earth's gravity, was literally destroyed by first form Frieza, and there was a far weaker Frieza. He one-shotted the planet. He did not destroy the core. He destroyed that entire planet, one-shotted it. He was way weaker. So they're way stronger later on. How they're still just
I just disagree with your interpretation. Send the scans.
Okay.
All right. While you send the scans, Dragon Ball, there's one question I have for you. You disagreed by saying Vegeta was like shocked. But if you watch the episode version of when Frieza blows up the planet, he says what? And then he backs up as the explosion is happening. And then in the movie version, he's also shocked because he says what? The difference is the movie doesn't show him backing up. So you said you disagreed that Vegeta was shocked. How? It was literally shown to us that Vegeta was shocked by Frieza pulling this move off.
It was not a one shot. It actually took a little bit of time to blow up, and you can see the Ki Blast burrowing into the center of the Earth, just like it did in Earth and Namek too.
That's the atmosphere. That's the atmosphere, because we see the next shot as it's coming down from the sky. We see it's approaching towards the fucking buildings. So it clearly wasn't the ground that they were showing. Because they show first, this is going in there, it looks like it's going in the ground, but then right after it, we see the people reacting to it coming down on them. And then we see this fucking thing cracking up and blowing up.
Silly, MJ. That's lightning, dude. Come on.
Because when you one-shot a planet, it doesn't just instantly blow up. If you see any other, fictions where they destroy it doesn't always instantly blow up. It takes time to crack and completely destroy it. It's still one-shotting a planet.
That's what I mean. That's orange lightning, man.
The clip of Planet Vegeta blowing up from the inside out. Whatever.
Life's better when you're under our roof. Save up to 23% by...
I believe Goku has the AP of at least low multi. I just think his physicals are trash.
Yeah, wait, what's even the argument for that, by the way? Has he even given one
low
yet?
Multi? Wait, what?
Has he given an argument for low multi? I wasn't even listening to the convo.
No, I said I think Goku's AP should at least be low multi.
Or high uni. But Goku was arguing for it. I mean, Dragon Ball was arguing for it, right?
He was arguing for complex multi. I wouldn't put Goku that high, but...
Go ahead and open my door. Vegeta wanted an audience.
It literally said, what's it called? Let me pause. But it literally said that, what's it called? Jiren was above time itself. Time itself is the fourth dimension. So to be above that, you would be 5D, which would be low complex multi. And Goku was able to handle that Jiren, and that was a suppressed Jiren too. So that's where I got that. Also, he was stronger than any enemy to have this form, which was Merge Zamasu, who merged with the Empire. I'm trying to pause this. I don't know.
Can take that one. That's just pure delusion.
Pure delusion? What the fuck? I literally just gave you an argument in context. What the fuck do you mean?
Last 3 hours was wrong.
You ignore things and you're like, yep, that's just wrong.
That's so unserious.
Like basic spatial dimensions anyway.
Yeah, the argument was so unserious. I just tossed that to MJ, bro.
Is the complete opposite of what you're saying, and so is this. I don't think any of us
have
go
into
the Jiren time 5D nonsense with you as well. I'm super tired. I'm so exhausted already. I don't want to do this anymore. This is ridiculous at this point. You're just making up your own versions of things and saying it's true. And then every time you say something, we come back with the source material and the facts, and it's completely different from what you said.
Bottom is saying that he's above time itself, and then Supreme Pilot is saying that he's the strongest enemy, and he's above Merge Zamasu. I don't know where you guys are getting this shit from.
And delusional.
My God, are you playing the video or who is it?
Well, no, Will's just said that he actually thinks Goku is multiversal, bro.
I wouldn't say multiversal. I would say his at least attack. Bro. No, I said his. I think his attack potency would probably be low multi.
You literally made no argument for why it's just planet level or large planet level.
I personally believe that Goku's physical.
We've seen them destroy planets, right?
Please say the
have you shown anything multiversal? You haven't.
So
no limit fallacy.
No limit. That's not what a no limit fallacy means. A no limit fallacy means if somebody has like a hacks ability that it can work on anybody, and that there's no you can fight against it. That's a no limit fallacy. So
don't try to correct me on terms if you don't know what the terms mean. That's kind of embarrassing.
You clearly don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. I don't know.
I will say this though. I really don't care about the Dragon Ball scaling. So like, if Goku
That's
is
fair,
probably
man.
like galaxy level or whatever, I really don't care.
Because we literally see in a
I just
fight
started some shit because I wanted to see some entertainment. Sorry, guys.
Man, what the fuck is happening? All this shit is.
I started
weird.
this shit. I said, Eve, where's Goku? The large planetary shit that started this.
Cell literally said he was going to destroy the solar system, and then there was the manga Legendario that he fired, a Kamehameha bullet that would destroy the solar system, and then what's his name? Gohan literally combated with overpowering it.
So that's fine.
So that's
on
level statement.
And everybody else combined, because he said he has limitless power.
Waiting for the good news from the king.
Yeah, don't forget Boo is omnipotent too, guys.
Oh yeah, Boo's omnipotent.
I'm making.
What the fuck is wrong with these guys,
man? Are you saying I
But
photoshopped
no,
the original
you
video?
guys see, you guys are making shit up. Liam, you said
No,
I
I'm
only
not
take the
making up.
guides.
You
I only
just
take
stand
the-
right out saying Boo's omnipotent.
I've called out, hyperbolic statements. A lot of these writings have hyperbolic statements.
Yeah, you debunked yourself on that, dude.
Okay, so then you agree that solar system statement's hyperbolic. What?
No, because it was in a
Yeah,
fucking
that
guidebook. Manga Legendario. Did you not listen?
What?
A guidebook literally mentioned it.
I don't even know.
And also, why would he be hyperbolic about that? What would be the point of him lying about him? He could sense energy. They could tell if he was lying. Like when Vegeta was going to destroy the planet. They know that they can have that power. The fuck's the point of that shit?
Oh, Eve couldn't hear you guys.
Yeah, my bad. You guys can continue talking. I just couldn't hear you guys.
I don't know if you guys are playing the video in the background or it's me, but it's getting annoying. I'm trying to find a way to get it off, but yeah.
I can't even hear the video you're talking about. That's you.
It literally said in the guidebook, Manga Legendario, which once again, many people have pointed that out. But you want to say no, it's just Cell said it. Guidebooks, you guys want to take it whenever it defends your argument, but when it goes against it, we're not taking guidebooks at all.
Journalists who put something together with the approval of the Japanese Commission for Dragon Ball authors. That is not a guidebook.
Yeah, that makes sense why I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I heard about
some
Goku
people
power
don't know about it
scaling,
because it's a very depth, Dragon Ball thing. But there is nothing that points out that Cell was hyperbolic about that statement. Because when Vegeta also said he was going to destroy the Earth, Goku took it serious enough to go Kaioken times.
Okay,
They can sense energy. They know how much energy they would have to destroy a planet or something. They even said for Frieza multiple times they could sense that he has the power to destroy the planet.
Here. Let's not filibuster. Can you show the solar system being destroyed?
See, this is the problem with people like you. You think that you have to show it directly every time. If the solar system was destroyed, what the fuck would be the point of the story? Everybody would have been dead. They would have lost.
No, you can scale plenty of things without needing a direct showing.
I just have one question, and it's not a gotcha. I'm not.
Then why do you need directly for this one?
I'm trying desperately to understand your side of this. You said super perfect cell. Was it perfect cell or super perfect cell? Let's clarify that first. Okay, whichever one. Let's just say this. So movie version Broly, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan plus Goten plus Goku post 7 years of training, and was pushed back by their Kamehameha all the way to the sun and then vaporized by the sun. Do you believe that movie version Broly, who tanked all of that, is stronger or weaker than Perfect Cell from the main canon? We're talking about the feats. We just want to know.
Well, the movies, they're not very consistent with logic and stuff.
Broly
or just their
stronger
thing.
or weaker than Cell was in the manga or the anime, whichever you want to consider the main canon. Was Broly from movie 10 stronger than Cell or not?
No. And on top of it, here's the thing. He didn't just die by the sun. Fired into it with an energy blast too. The Kamehameha also exploded. So it wasn't just the sun there.
Stronger than movie Broly. When Super Saiyan 2 Gohan plus Goten plus Goku were not enough to stop him. And you're also saying that it was the Kamehameha that did this, not the sun. When you see Broly's heart explode from the back out of his chest towards the Kamehameha that was pushing him back. So you're saying that the force of his heart ripping out of his chest transcends all three of their Kamehamehas combined. Do you see the problem with what you're saying? It wasn't the Kamehameha that killed him, it was the sun.
No, did you not know what was happening in the story? The story was his energy was expanding and he needed to release it, so he would fire.
None of that makes any sense, dude.
At that point, it was swelling up. He couldn't do that. He was getting attacked and dying. So it blew up. That's his own energy that blew up within him.
He was releasing his organs, bro.
Also, don't use movies as logic, because the movies, a lot of the power scaling is different. Super Saiyan 3 Goku and the movie for Fusion Reborn was way more physically impressive than Super Saiyan 3 Goku in the anime, even though it was around the same timeline. So clearly the characters' versions of their powers are different. Even Hirudegan was defeated by Super Saiyan 3, but it was able to beat, Mystic Gohan, which Mystic Gohan should be stronger than him in the main timeline, but in the movies, their power scaling is not the same. The characters' feats and powers are different with their transformations. It's not a one-to-one ratio.
You're saying that Super Saiyan 3 Goku transcends Mystic Gohan again. Another thing you're not aware of, the God Fist that he used in that technique is a special technique that could defeat Hirudegarn. So again, you're not really you're a novice at best when it comes to the Dragon Ball lore. And in this entire discussion, there is not one single panel or scan or link or anything that you posted for us. You have excluded any evidence for every 100% of every single topic that we've been through, and it's only been us three giving you the evidence, and your response to all of the evidence has been to headcanon explain it your own way. So at no point are you right on any of this. Nothing. Literally nothing.
No, wait, hold on. Don't forget that anime logic is just
you were confident enough to even give us a single panel.
It's hard to find all this shit. I don't have this all the way up here instantly for everything.
You had days to
like when I got in this debate,
and you knew that you were going into an objective discussionist conversation against somebody who uses scans and evidence against you. You knew that, and you still came with nothing.
Yeah, because unlike you, I don't take these little debates that serious. The only things that I take serious is my video. If I get to make content out of it and get views off of it, then I put more work into it. I'm not going to put all this work in here for this. What do I gain from this? I don't get any viewers. It doesn't further my YouTube career. I'm just arguing with randos online. In my own personal life,
what you're saying is your pea little brain can't even remember the chapters and issues they come from?
What? I came here just to have a regular debate discussion, not go on depth and do all this research.
Yeah, what do I can't handle the information about what the chapters come from?
You haven't watched the clips that we sent you. So you're less than a novice on all of this, and you shouldn't be educating anybody on anything. You shouldn't be using any of this to talk in comments like you have been, because I debunked you already in my comments on all of this, and you're still going on, and you just admitted that you don't do the research. You don't watch the clips, but you're still trying to educate others. Stop. Stop trying to educate others until you research it.
I said I don't do... I said, you're listening. See, this is how you misconstruction. No, listen here. I did not do the research for this debate. When my videos, I said I only do research for my videos.
But you didn't know any
I do have all this knowledge, but I didn't put any clips here because I'm not having all this information.
Or any of the DC
I don't care for
ones. The discussions that you posted against me were on some of these topics. You've had weeks and months to research this and have one panel to even watch the clips. And today, you proved to all of your viewers that you are not doing research and you don't care enough to actually do it. You're using them for views. You just said you only care about views and how it benefits you. All three of us here don't do that. We're trying to help other people. We have the knowledge already. You don't. You don't have any knowledge of this.
No, I didn't say.
You are.
So no, what you're trying to make it sound like is I'm manipulating. No. What you're saying is that I'm giving them false information. I do work. I want to do the work and research that I have from my videos.
We showed you that you haven't watched the clips.
You make bullshit fucking claims like, oh no, why didn't you guys do that?
You didn't research this. You admitted you don't have the information already on the topics that we're talking about. That's giving people bad information. How are you calling me a dumbass?
I said I don't have the stuff you to put clips and shit on this, dumbass. I didn't have fucking clips to put on here.
You literally admitted that you didn't do the research. What are you talking about?
Listen, for once, just listen. I never said that I don't have the information for this. I said I didn't get extra research for it because the main thing we were doing mostly was on, what's the thing called? Cosmic Armor Superman. I didn't do all this extra research. I did some research. But for here, I don't have all these other
You can't even say that, buddy, because you know what you said? You said that comic wasn't from issue 7 of Final Crisis, even though I showed proof that it was.
Which one? The one where the verging of Darkseid planet?
The one about Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see it here. I'm really looking for it. I couldn't find it on the Final Crisis story.
Yeah, I literally showed you proof it was from that issue. It seems like he didn't do any research at all.
Creators he listens to spit this nonsense. It's complete bullshit. Like literally everything. You just went a 2.5-hour conversation.
I'm not like
everything wrong, dude.
I'm not like you. I'm full on into the debating. I'm just a regular YouTuber who knows knowledge about Dragon Ball and then does research on other characters that I don't know. I've mentioned multiple times when I don't know about certain characters and I've done research.
From the comics and went to Dragon Ball and proceeded for the last hour and a half to get every single topic wrong. You didn't research anything. Are you serious right now that you think Movie Brawly is gonna get beat by Cell? What are you talking about? One Super Saiyan 2 was enough to handle Cell. Have you watched Dragon Ball? Have you watched Dragon Ball? Just answer the question, because I don't understand your logic. I think you were just tracking to try to defend yourself there by saying Brawly would lose to Perfect Cell. It doesn't matter if they're the same.
Why are you using movies? Why are you using movies when the canon is not the same? Clearly, the versions of them in the movies are not the same levels of power. I literally pointed out. I pointed out how in Fusion Reborn, Goku's Super Saiyan 3 Goku was stronger than in the regular timeline. They're not the same level of power.
We can all use our brains to know that Movie 10 Broly is stronger than Perfect Cell.
So you're saying all those characters have the same levels of power in the main story compared to the movie? They're exactly the same levels of power.
Super Saiyan 2 combined, and it didn't do anything to him. In fact, his heart is more powerful than all of them combined. What are you talking about, dude? Gohan was Super Saiyan 2.
And none of them were Super Saiyan 2. None of them were Super Saiyan 2 there. You're wrong about that. Gohan and none of them had Super Saiyan 2. They're all Super Saiyan 1. No. He fought. They're all Super Saiyan 1s. He fought against 3 Super Saiyan 1s. None of them were Super Saiyan 2.
I absolutely.
None of them were Super Saiyan 2. He got beaten by Goku, who was in Super Saiyan 1, getting the energy from friends. Just one-shotted.
Your only response in all of these hours is to do the same thing all of the low-tier discussion is to do, and deflect and make up your own stuff. It's all your opinion. Everything you've said is
Gohan Super Saiyan 2 or was he Super Saiyan 1?
Listen to what I'm saying.
Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 1?
Every single thing. We don't have
to Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 1?
When you just spend
prove that he was Super Saiyan 2. He was Super Saiyan 1.
To give us a single scan or a link. You offered nothing in this debate. You offered nothing in this entire
So you agree that it was Super Saiyan 2 Gohan there, not Super Saiyan 1?
You came unprepared, but you're demanding stuff of us anyway. We had the patience and diligence here to have a discussion with you, only for you to talk over us and change all of the source material into your own headcanon. This is over. Like, nothing you said was valid. Nothing. Literally nothing. You have not made one single topic where you were right. Nothing. Do you understand that?
I don't know,
No,
man.
you don't know all the Dragon Ball shit. You just made up some ridiculous bullshit about the whole planet blowing up thing.
I was trolling. I don't do Dragon Ball power scaling. Why would I be credible if I said Goku is multiversal? I'm not credible for Dragon Ball. I don't power scale Dragon Ball.
Wills, I have no problem with you. These two guys, like this guy saying that, you know, the narrator, what he says doesn't matter. What the fuck? Why would the narrator?
No, he didn't say that. He said the narrator versus author statements.
The author never disputed that.
Narration and author statements are completely separate things.
But Toriyama never went against the narrator. Toriyama wrote that into there, obviously.
The author, the narrative, and then after that, prevaricated when I pressed you on it.
No, when it came to Cosmic Armor Superman, you provided the author stating it. I agreed, but you haven't provided any. You just said that I told you that the narrator literally stated that Super Saiyan Goku had the power of Super Saiyan God that threatened the universe. Toriyama never stated anything that contradicts that. He never said anything that contradicts that. I don't know where you got that from. So clearly, the narrator was telling us who he was. There was nothing that contradicted our statement from Toriyama or anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know where the fuck you got that the narrator was wrong.
You just don't understand how narratives work. I don't know what to tell you.
What do you mean narratives work out? It's literally explaining what happened. This is not like comics where they have 1,000 different narrators or like writers. They have one writer.
What happened? Show me the destroyed solar system.
Once again, the whole point of that fight was to prevent the solar system from being destroyed.
Statement. So it's not explaining what's happening. Thank you.
It was to prevent the destruction of the solar system. How are they gonna fucking show that and then have them win? Like, I don't get that. How are you gonna show the solar destroyed?
Yes,
the whole point was to prevent that from happening.
Have you seen Record of Ragnarok?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so when the announcer says Zeus from Olympus is omnipotent and the destroyer of gods, they don't actually mean that Zeus is omnipotent.
Look, I understand that there's hyperbolic statements, but there's nothing that you can show that this was a hyperbolic statement at all.
That's how you argue, and that's why you have problems with what I show. Like, you pick and choose whatever you want to edit out in your own way.
No, there are hyperbolic statements that you can.
Not even once.
Like when people say the universe is infinite because they mention infinite multiple times, they've also mentioned that there's an edge to the universe. That contradicts that statement. There's nothing that was stated that contradicted this statement. It's only a hyperbolic of their something that contradicts it. Nothing contradicted Cell's statement. The statement about the universe being infinite, they stated multiple times, but there's other statements that contradict that statement. So that's why I don't take that into consideration. I could have just bullshit and said yes. But when it comes to Cell's thing, there's nothing that states that, contradicts that. And on top of it, we see the power scaling from first form Frieza and a far weaker one casually destroying planet Vegeta. And if you do scaling, it makes sense that they would be able to destroy a solar system. It's just logical.
There's a performative contradiction, right? And the performative contradiction is that they died to the heat of a planet's core. They showed it
later in the series.
They never said it. Did we see the heat disintegrating them? Did they state that?
Wait, hold on. You said he instantly died. You said that.
He instantly died. That doesn't mean that. I said he instantly died because he died in the vacuum of space, not because of the fucking
oxygen works. That's not.
Wait, hold on. So Dragon
Ball, fiction. You don't think anything reasonable. That's why we mentioned the Goku.
Do you believe if Goku flew out into outer space, he would just instantly like croak over?
Well, it depends. The writer, in this instance, Toriyama just wanted Vegeta to die so they can rewind and have to win it. Logically, he should be able to hold his breath out at least for a few minutes in deep space and fly. But in certain narrative points where there's plot-induced stupidity, that shit happens. What happened with Frieza or Vegeta was plot-induced stupidity. I agree that it's dumb. He should have been able to hold his breath and at least survive out there for more than a minute. I even made a video talking about this. I said that he couldn't survive there for a minute, so why couldn't he survive longer than that? It's plot-induced stupidity.
Look, I'm down. It's not plot-induced stupidity if we have an actual answer, which is just his body got disintegrated, so the oxygen in his blood cells doesn't exist anymore. He got disintegrated. He died.
They stated that. They didn't say it. They didn't state that.
We don't need to. If we have a logical explanation, we don't just say, we throw out all logic and take plot-induced stupidity.
You can ignore it. This is bad, right? Like, you You think they all have to fit into logic?
And
It does not.
that you accept that horrible logic is the reason why you say anime has inconsistencies. That's the reason you believe that. It's because you want it to be inconsistent.
Every story has inconsistencies. DC has inconsistencies. Comic books have inconsistencies. They have a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. But we accept it because certain things, you know, that's just how it is. Sometimes writers are gonna write shit dumb as fuck. Like, we can't say, oh, everything needs to be 100% logical. Why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? Not everything's gonna be 100% logical.
You're not listening to your own argument.
Yeah, that's what. No. That fits in it. Why didn't Vegeta kill him instantly? Plot-induced stupidity. If it was, because we know Vegeta, he
was shocking. He did it fast.
Yeah, he said he's shocked and screamed what?
Yeah, he's shocked. He's shocked and then he screams what? And I'm not even a Dragon Ball. Like I said, I'm not a Dragon Ball power scaler.
It is plot-induced stupidity.
I'm just saying what I see.
Okay, yeah, but why would he be shocked that he would destroy the planet when we've had mentioned multiple times that when Frieza's desperate, even in this story, that when he's desperate, he will destroy the planet. He did it in he did it in Avatar.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm saying the reason that happened was because of plot-induced stupidity. That feeds into the plot-induced stupidity. Because logically, Vegeta would have already known.
So when Frieza's on
but for some reason in the plot, he didn't expect him to do something like that. That's another.
Why didn't Vegeta dive into the ground, into the middle of the Earth to stop the Ki blast? That's plot-induced stupidity. Why they didn't go into that? No, your logic doesn't track.
No, why did you not go into that? I keep on telling you. Why didn't he do? Why didn't we prevent him before he did that?
To find a way out of
no,
it.
so what you're saying is, why didn't he do something? Listen. See, you saying I'm talking over you. You're talking over me every time I try to repeat it, and then you keep on going with your shit. You're trying to argue why you're saying that what I'm trying to say is why didn't he stop it when he did it? I'm saying why didn't he stop him before he even did it? He could have killed him before he did it.
Ignoring like an hour's worth of argument.
And the only reason he did it was because
are you forgetting that we had this argument already?
He already made him suffer.
And we showed you. What are you talking about? We already went over the personality stuff.
He already made him suffer. What part of there was he suffering at that point?
He wants to enjoy the death of Frieza. Vegeta's not going to instantly blow him up. That goes against his character, dude. That's not what Vegeta wants. Everybody knows that he wants to savor and watch Frieza die slowly. He wants to watch him suffer. That's why he didn't kill him fast. While he was doing that, Frieza put his hand on the ground and instantly shot something into the planet. It was shocking. It was shocking to Vegeta. So your version doesn't work. It doesn't matter if
he could have still attacked him without killing him. He could have still done that, but he would just stand there watching. That makes no sense. That's what happened because of plot-induced stupidity. He was being stupid. They wrote him to be dumber and do nothing about it and just stand there.
He's not gonna dive.
It's not like you knew it and then he didn't do anything.
Come on now.
He didn't have a internal monologue saying that, oh, I can't do anything about this, we're screwed. He didn't even think, he was just standing there. It's whatever, you know what? I'll make...
No, I'm with you, Dragon Ball. If you don't like something, just call it PIS, bro. Just call it PIS if you don't like it.
Wait, so Eve, you think adult Sasuke could, like, kill Vegeta?
Oh, he definitely beats him up.
Okay, I'm not gonna start anything. I'm not starting anything more. I think we should just end it here.
You should make a video about that. You know, you should make a video to see how